What's up, everybody, and welcome to our show. I know everybody's excited about meeting Mike, the owner of Suspension Technologies. He's sitting in the green room right now, but before I bring him on, I'll say hello to everybody in the side chat. Thank you for coming in. We have to thank our channel sponsors, which is Cape Cod Harley Davidson, Yankee Harley Davidson, and the Heyman Law Firm, because when you go down, they pick you up. So without further ado, without any delay, let's bring in Mike Alex, the owner of Suspension Technologies. How you doing, Mike? Thanks for
I'm
coming
doing
on
good.
tonight.
Hi, everyone. Hope everybody's doing good this evening. And how are you doing, sir, today?
I am wonderful. I've been excited about this all day. Like I said to you earlier before backstage, is I only promote products I believe in. And, Suspension Technologies is a product that I completely believe and trust in. I was a big Legend fan in the past. Legends have come on to their problems lately, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to trash talk any other company. That's just not what I do. But I am a convert from Legend camp to Suspension Technologies camp, and I have not had the opportunity with Olin's, but I've had the opportunity to install and road test Progressive, of course, every flavor of Legend, and now the Black Hills edition for Suspension Technologies. And in my personal opinion, hands down the best suspension I've ever ridden on. And I've done quite some miles since I put them on. So without all that, let's get going with what got you involved in doing suspension?
Well, let me start with, first of all, thank you. Thank you for putting our product on your bike. Every single one of those other companies that you mentioned are very, very good companies. They are good people. We just do things a little bit different. But again, they make a good product, and there's plenty of, it's kind of like ice cream. Everybody's got a flavor they like.
That's it. There's plenty of meat on the bone for everybody.
Absolutely. Well put. You know what? I'm going to use that in Daytona if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
So I got into suspension way back when I got into race car suspension out of necessity. I used to drag race. And I was just a weekend warrior. But as I got more competitive, guys that I used to drag race against, they had way bigger budgets than I had. So they could go out and they could buy $50,000 motors, $60,000 motors. I couldn't do that. Okay. So I had to find other ways to make the car work and go fast. And so in reading magazines and books and learning things, I got involved in suspension, and I started working on suspension for my car just to, feed my habit and be competitive. And I figured at some point that's all it ever was going to be.
Yep.
And my mechanical engineering background led me to make a career in suspension. Kind of by accident, wasn't what I intended to do, and it just kind of blossomed from there.
Yep. So we got a question for you right away, which is saying, I am replacing a dead set of Progressive 420s. How can I improve my ride comfort?
Okay, so my first response back to that is, what bike are we replacing them on? What is the bike that we're doing this with?
There you go. That's an important question. And getting back to schedule here, when did you start Suspension Technologies and why?
So I started it legitimately 18 years ago. Prior to that, I worked in the NASCAR industry. I was a shock specialist. I worked with chassis and chassis setup and things like that. And I was whining one day at work to my coworkers. I had a Road King at the time, and it rode like crap. And I was whining about it. And one of the guys I worked with, great guy, said to me, he says, in a real Southern drawl, "Mike, what do you do for a living?" And I'm whining. I said, "I build shocks on race cars." He said, "Well, why don't you build a set for your bike and shut up?" And that's what I did. I built a set for my bike, and they worked out great. and I had other people ride my bike along the years, and they really liked it. I built a set for a friend and a set for a friend's brother. And next thing you know, I'm building shocks for people. So,
Yep.
and then 18 years ago, I started legitimately, I engineered the shocks. I did data acquisition on bikes to develop our product, and we started making them 18 years ago.
Gotcha. Now Wilkie comes back. He's got a 127 cubic inch Craftworks frame, custom built chopper.
Okay. So what I would like to know is, are the rear shocks mounted like a touring bike, or are they mounted horizontally like a Softail? Because that bike I'm not 100% familiar with.
Neither am I. So you started making your own shocks for your own bike, and then you made them for friends, and then you started the company, and the company grew from there. That's awesome. Now I understand that every shock that leaves your facility is dyno tested.
Absolutely.
And
So all of our shocks are hand assembled. We machine our own parts in house, or we have right locally within our complex. We have some of the machine shops machine parts for us. Everything is made in the United States for our product, and so we hand assemble every single shock absorber, and then every single shock absorber and front cartridge, we dyno test every single one of them.
Nice. And you dyno test the back ones as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And at what percentage is acceptable as far as a variance between one and the other as a pair?
For us, 2%.
2%.
They are within 2% of each other, right to left. And
Okay,
I would love to tell you
3%, and I was wrong, and I admit it, and it's 2%. But
it's 2%. And I'd love to tell you that simply, we're just because we're geniuses. No. It's that way because my guys, they mic every single shim. They measure every single piston. They make sure that everything is what it's supposed to be. So when you assemble it, it's very easy for them to be within 2%. Usually when they're not, guy will either forget to torque a nut down, or we'll use a couple too many standoff shims. But that's a quick, easy fix. So they're all within 2% of each other, right to left.
Henry says his shocks are underneath like a standard
right.
Softail.
So he's got the Softail style. So unfortunately, he has. First of all, we don't make anything for that bike, Henry. I'm sorry. So your options are limited, unfortunately. Now I do know that they still sell that style shock absorber in the Harley magazine, or the Harley parts catalog. Excuse me. Last I knew, those shocks were built by Bilstein and then assembled springs and put together. Last I knew, and that was some time ago. So I do know that those they're I think still available in the Harley parts catalog.
Okay.
I don't know of anything else other than I know that Legends makes a very good air shock for that style bike. They make an underneath air shock for that. I personally would check also with JRI. JRI is an outstanding company for Softail products. I believe they might make something as well for that, but we do not. All of our stuff is for the touring models. Very soon we'll have the new Softail stuff, 18 and newer.
I'm looking forward to that because I have Project Spaceball. I've talked to you about it in the past, and the only thing left to do that is the suspension.
Well, we'll have those very soon. We were working on them. We actually have been working on them, but we picked up the pace when we got back from Ocean City, Maryland 2 weeks ago.
Nice. Now, Riding and Wrenching asks another question. He says, stupid question, which is not true because the only stupid question is the one that asked, in my opinion. He says, what is dyno testing on a shock? Can you elaborate that without getting into any of your trade secrets? Because I don't want you to, compromise your business.
No secret here. So a dyno machine has a Scotch yoke type crankshaft, and you can adjust the stroke. So you do a 1/2-inch stroke, a 1-inch stroke, a 2-inch stroke. My machine will go up to a 6-inch stroke, and they have machines that go farther for off-road vehicles and stuff. So you have an electric motor that turns this crankshaft, and it strokes the shock. On top of the shock is a load cell. So it picks up the load, and then it also has a potentiometer that measures the speed, and it also tracks the location in inches. So at 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inches a second, it tells you how much damping force you're making. And those load cells, it's a pancake style cell, so it gets load both directions. So you can measure compression and rebound. And then it makes a graph. So you look at this graph, and there's 4 sides to the graph, if you will. And when you look at the graph, you can tell where the compression and rebound are at from 0 to 10 inches a second, which is pretty. So when you hit like one of these really large speed bumps doing 50 miles an hour, you will move that shock 10 inches a second. So you will see where it's making damping force all during its profile. And then you can tune that. You can change that. And you can have kind of like an overlap between compression and rebound. You can make it much more compression, less rebound. There's a variety of things. So you measure that. And we know from data acquisition on the bikes what the bike likes, what it sees, and what it needs. And then we develop the damping force, the valve code, accordingly. And so that's what a shock dyno does. It gives us that information within seconds.
That's awesome. So Jamin's saying, so I'm on stock ones and are bottoming out on me. Well,
again, what bike are you riding?
The stock bikes, stock shocks are garbage, in my opinion. They really are. They're as good of a product as stock mufflers and stock grips and stock bars. They're garbage. It's one of the first things I change on the bike is suspension with handlebars and grips and mufflers. When I buy a brand new bike, that's the first thing I change up on it. End of story.
And the on most motorcycles, not just Harley, but on all brands out there, that company needs that shock to be all things to different models.
Yep.
Okay. So it's going to have some shortcomings here and there. Also too, cost is a very big factor. So a lot of times the stock shocks on certain models just don't work well. And that's good for us. That's good for all the shock companies out there. But Jamin, what bike do you have? And I can tell you better maybe how to adjust what you have or what you need to do to eliminate the bottoming out problem.
Yep. Well, the Thumpers are here. A good friend of mine, Mike Jerowitz, is here. That's who suspension is just shipped out today for. That's who's also going to be down at Daytona. Mike, he says, make sure you stop by his booth while you're down at Daytona for Biketoberfest and say hello and introduce yourself. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be located at Destination Daytona in the front main parking lot. So all you guys, if you're at Daytona, come on by and say hi. We usually have cold water and soft drinks, maybe something else in the cooler. You never know. And come on by and introduce yourself to us.
Yeah. So also PA Biker wants to know about his 09 Ultra Classic.
Okay.
As far as suspension, you have the Black Hills available for that, correct?
We do. We have rear and front available for that. Our front 4 cartridge kits go all the way down to 1990. So we have a 4 cartridge kit for that. We have rear shocks. That Ultra came with a 13-inch on its stock. We have the stock 13. We have a 12. We have a variety of spring combinations for that bike. We have all that in stock, ready to go out the door.
And my buddy Mike says he most definitely will stop by and see you.
Awesome.
And he's staying right there as well. So
is he going to go see Jackal?
So Jamin has a 23 Heritage.
Okay.
And I believe those have that's a touring style suspension.
So the 23 Heritage has a single shock in the rear mounted up underneath the seat. And then the front, basically the front is just a spring and spacers. It's got an emulsion valve in there. So we very soon, hopefully before Christmas, we will have the rear shocks for that bike and the front 4 cartridges for that bike. And we'll have a variety of lengths and a variety of spring combinations for that bike and everything in the, 2018 and newer Softail lineup.
Yep. Let's see. Danny says, I wouldn't be mad if I was sent a front suspension. As far as I understand, you guys don't go into any sponsorships or anything like that, correct?
No, not at all.
Yep.
So we
Go ahead.
we do a couple of fundraisers throughout the year. We donate suspension for a few fundraisers that are very dear to us. Most of them evolve around children fundraisers. That's a big thing with us. The guys from BA Enterprises in New York have a function that we support, and then we do the Biker Builder Breakfast in Daytona for the Flying Pistons, and then we support a couple of police functions. But we don't, we have found that most people, when they buy the product and they speak highly of it, we're not accused of buying advertisement.
Got you. Now, someone, Hells is passing on a question that I missed. When should someone go to a heavy spring?
When they eat too much.
Is there a weight limit, like
yes.
330 pounds, 400 pounds?
So the standard spring in our lineup is basically 0 to 399 pounds. And then the heavy spring is 400 pounds to 700 pounds. So the 400-pound spring on your bike, set it preload. The way we manufacture it starts at 400. And then when you tighten up the spring cup, when you turn it tighter, it will change it 52 pounds per turn. So you can adjust accordingly that way. And most people, and again, another thing you have to take into consideration here without getting too technical is now you also have travel and motion ratio come into play. So even though it says 400 pounds, as the swing arm moves the shock and the spring gets tighter, the spring rate goes up. It goes linear. Let's see if I can do this so you can see me. So the spring rate goes linear. And then as it comes back down, it goes back. So it will go from 400 to 500 to 600 and then back down. And then when you have plenty of shock travel, that's what the shock takes that energy and dissipates it into the air. So, but most people that, if you weigh 210 and your passenger is 125 and you got a little bit of luggage, standard spring is right where you want to be. And then if you do load it down more, you can adjust that up as well, or you can soften it. So it gives you a lot of options.
Well, I mean, to give everybody an idea, I'm 220. All right. My wife is, a lot lighter than me. And when we went to Catskill Mountain Thunder, both saddlebags were loaded down. The tour pack was half loaded. So we were over 400 pounds. And as they sat, how you ship the shocks, I did not have to adjust them at all. Because I was thinking, okay, do I have to soften them or stiffen them with this extra load on the way there? And I didn't have to touch them. And I was quite impressed because on my previous shocks, and I had the Legends ARCs, where I had a setting for rebound and compression for me, a setting for when it's my wife and I, and a setting for when we were loaded down, and then another setting when I wanted to do spirited riding.
Right.
I want some stiffer for that. And now I don't have to worry about it because I could do the spirited riding. I could be 2 up and I could be loaded down and don't have to worry or touch my shocks.
That's our goal. Our goal is to set it and forget it.
Yep. And that's the beauty part of it. I don't have to keep a notepad with shock settings or anything anymore.
Right. Yep.
Now, the Thumper said she will need, she sold her Sportster and they're going to be needing to do her Lowrider S that they just bought. Well,
congratulations on selling the Sportster. And then the Lowrider S is falling under our new Softail category. And we will have those, like I said, hopefully all before Christmas. And we're going to have the front ends and the rear shocks for that bike as well. So, and maybe we start with the rear and then do the front, or both same time, whatever. I know when we were in at Gator Harley Davidson and we did your bike. So we're close by, so we can make it happen no matter what, guys.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm getting caught up here in the side chat, guys. I'm sorry if I missed anything. If I did, please repost it. Uh, so so suspension technology is coming out with the soft tail suspension, which I'm really looking forward to. But my big concern is, and Hells has sort of calmed that down. I have my soft tail. It's a legitimate 154 horsepower, 165 foot-pounds of torque. And two major problems I have with that bike is one is keeping the front end down, and two, keeping the tire planted, which I need a stickier tire in the back, but help keeping that front end down. Suspension could play a big component in that. Would the suspension technologies, suspension for the soft tail, be able to help me out with that situation?
Absolutely. What's really cool about us as well, like I mentioned earlier, we hand assemble every shock, every front end. Everything we make is hand assembled. So we can do specialty stuff on the fly, and it doesn't cost extra money. So, for example, T-Man Performance uses our stuff on his drag bikes.
Mm-hmm.
It works really well for him. He's very pleased with it. We were able to improve his 60-foot times. We were able to help him hook up better. We're able to valve and adjust the front end to keep the front end from coming up. So there's a variety of things that we can do. So our standard out-of-the-box performance soft-tail RT shock should be able to do everything you want it to do. But if it turns out that you're just really overpowering those as well, we can build something special on the fly. Again, racing is my background, so I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know exactly what to do to make that problem go away.
Excellent. Just to give you a heads up, Hells knows, I plan on buying the suspension at Daytona Bike Week in March, and having Hells install it, and I was going to heckle him with, Tweedle and Ray and a few others to heckle Hells while he's doing it. Wouldn't do it to Peanut, because Peanut is one great wrench you got working for you. You got a gold mine with him, in my opinion.
So we love Peanut. Peanut's great. The last two shows, the last show, Peanut had to stay behind. So we're busier and busier each event. My dog just jumped on my lap. I apologize.
No worries.
So each event, this is she's going away. And Peanut runs our production department with Kevin. And so he's been staying behind to keep up with production and work on some of the new product that we've been talking about. And Peanut's awesome. We love Peanut, and we miss him at the shows. We have Thomas, the new guy, who is phenomenal. He is a master tech, just a great guy. And of course, we have Jason, who y'all met in Daytona for Bike Week. He was with us there, and he's been with us all summer. Jason brings a wealth of knowledge. He's a master tech as well. Been in the Harley industry forever. He's a real big, knows a lot about custom bikes and chassis and suspension and stuff. So we're hoping, as we get things going a little more smoother and more people to shop, we'll be able to grab Peanut and bring him along for more shows, because he's fun to have around too.
Yep, that he is. Good night, Danny Dilo. Danny Dilo's got a much larger channel than I do. He's out of, I think, the Cincinnati area. I could be wrong, but he's that part of the country. And he's also a great dude. Much love and respect to Danny. And, of course, everybody else in the side channel. But he's heading out, and I wanted to give him a quick highlight. So Suspension Technologies is going to be around for a long time. And your warranty on your shocks, what is the warranty on your suspension?
It's real simple. We have a lifetime warranty. So 20 years from now, if you have a problem with my product, I'm going to replace it or rebuild it. It's that simple. And the way it works is, if you are the original purchase person, then you have a lifetime warranty. But what we do is, this happened recently. Guy bought a used bike. It had our suspension on it. In his particular case, this is the greatest. The guy bought the bike. The current owner had put 11-inch on it, lowered it all the way down. The previous owner, and I know the previous owner, I know the bike well. The previous owner was lucky to weigh 150 pounds soaking wet. It was a Road Glide CVO. So then they sell this bike, and they sell it to a man that's 6'4". weighs 385 pounds, and he's bottoming out like crazy, you know? So basically what we did for him is we updated the shocks, we changed the springs, we did a couple other things, and we do that at a very minimal cost. Usually the most it ever costs is like $200, but in this particular case, it was $100. And then at that point, he now has a lifetime warranty.
There you go.
So the original owner, day one, lifetime warranty as long as they own the shocks. And we tell people that because, you know, you might decide 6 months from now, a year from now, you're going to buy a new Road Glide Limited, and you could take the shocks off your bike now and put them on that bike.
Yep.
And we might need to respring them for you, but piece of cake. And so now you've got shocks that are going to last forever.
Awesome. Because that was my next question. Because with Project Spaceball, as I'm going to end up doing a giveaway on that bike after Daytona, because I want to enter in a couple shows. I want to try and get it out there. It's never been to a rally, and I want to get it out there at a rally and get it around because, in my opinion, it's to me the best looking lowrider S out there, in my opinion, with all the work I've done on it, with the performance upgrades and everything. And I'm going to be giving it away to one lucky winner. And, it's not going to be a raffle per se, but I'm selling t-shirts, and, one t-shirt equals one entry for the giveaway. And that would be, to me, a nice thing to say, hey, look, lifetime warranty, but it's not transferable from original owner to the person who gets it.
Gotcha.
Yep. So, I can't wait to show the bike off to you down there because I'm really proud of it. I really love it, how it came out. And, next up after this is I'm actually currently building a chopper for an organization I partnered up with called Homes for the Brave. And they take in homeless veterans to give them a place to live, yada, yada, yada. And I'm building a custom chopper that I'm going to give to them. My dream bike, I'm building it and giving it to them. They're going to actually hold a raffle with permits and everything to raise money to help our homeless veterans. And they're a private, non-for-profit organization. They're not a corporate conglomerate. They're not federally funded or anything like that. And this is an organization, me being a veteran, I've been involved with them since 2011. So it's been a long time.
Is this going to be a hardtail bike?
Yes.
And what are you going to do in the front end?
Springer.
Okay. All right.
Springer open primary. Right now it's got a 33-degree rake with telescoping forks on it, but I want to put a Springer on it. Like I said, I'm building my dream bike. So we'll see what happens. Henry says his owner will be in soon and finally got a job. Awesome.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yes. So, that's a bike that my subscribers have made cash donations in the past towards this this project I'm doing. And I put that money aside, and I was able to get this rolling chassis from another YouTuber. It's never been built before. It's just a rolling chassis. It's made by Atlas Frames out in California, and I got it for $400. And that's as much as I brought in on donations. Of course, YouTube took their third, so I had to come up with that third to buy this frame, which I don't care. And I just came back from V-Twin Manufacturing down in Newburgh, New York this past weekend, and I bought a coffin tank. It's a 3.2-gallon coffin tank because Lowbrow Customs sent me a tank because originally I was going to do a rigid Sportster build, and they stepped up, and I picked a coffin tank for a Sportster, which is 1.2 gallons, which looked ridiculously small on this frame. I'm like, I can't do that.
Cool. I can't wait to see that thing, man.
Neither can I. My hope is Daytona 2025. I'll have it down there and put it in the tropical tattoo.
Yeah, put it over Willie's. Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. And a few others.
That'll be awesome. I'm sure Chris Callan from Cycle Source will love to see that thing.
Yeah. Now, Jason Ghost says suspension is probably the next thing I'm going to do on my bike. It's the Lowrider ST. Definitely needs stiffer in the front. Yes. the stock, like I've always said it, and I'll say it again, stock suspension is garbage. It's the bare minimum to get by. But if you want to increase comfort and performance, suspension is the first place to go. For me, it's the last. Because nobody had a suspension that can handle the projected horsepower that I was going to make, and I've exceeded my projected horsepower. So yes, if you want a good suspension, definitely reach out to Ride H2 Performance. Order your suspension technologies. I'm plugging Hells. No, sorry, Mike, but I'm
That's all
plugging
right.
Hells.
No,
That's a
hey,
brother of mine. I love him to
we
death.
love Drew and
Yep.
Crystal, and we're happy to be in a partnership with them.
Yes.
So absolutely, you know what? Buy from Hells, absolutely.
Yep. So reach out to Hells. He could get you set up with a good suspension. By Christmas time, it'll be available for your lowrider ST. All right. Now, I missed the question. Hells is keeping me honest here. I appreciate it. Thanks, Drew. Question about maintenance on suspension. Now, for me, maintenance is, even though Harley says change your fork fluid every 50,000 miles, I sit there and change it every 20,000 miles because you know what? Good fluid every 20,000 miles is better than waiting until it's wiped out at 50,000 miles. What is suspension technologies
So
thought on
our
that?
cartridges themselves should need nothing. You shouldn't have to touch them. The fluid in them are good for 100,000 miles. So if you get 100,000 miles on the cartridges, you know what? We'll just swap them out. The fluid that we give you with the kit for install, and it'll be a little bit different on the lowrider S and some of the softail stuff, the Dinos. But for the touring bikes, like a Road Glide, for example, we put 6 ounces of fluid in each fork leg, and it's made for us by Spectra Oils, and it's Harley E-Type. It too is good for 100,000 miles. You don't need to change it for 100,000 miles. Most people don't get that many miles on their bike. They may change seals, they may change bushings, and at that point, obviously, you're going to change the fluid. But our front cartridge kits, as well as our shocks, they require nothing. And if the day comes and they do, rear shocks, we rebuild them or swap them out, and front ends, we just swap them out. Done.
Nice. See, I have a problem. I have a problem with keeping motorcycles. And at least this time I got smart and I kept all the stock takeoffs. So when I go to trade this one in, my Road Glide, I could put all the stock stuff back on it to include the suspension and, just swap it over. That's the plan anyways.
Until we get in the dealership and we got to have it. Next thing you know, done.
Well, I have a very good relationship with my dealership. So,
awesome.
I could sit. They've actually said to me on the last bike I traded in, they're like, you just put those Dakota digital gauges in your bike. You still got the stock gauges? Says, absolutely. Goes, go home and change them because we're not going to give you any more money for them. You're going to be throwing them away.
Well, not good for them. Good for them.
Like I said, I have a very good dealership. They sell at MSRP. They don't pad the MSRP. They don't mark up things or anything. So that would be great.
Nice to hear that.
Yep. Thumper says, like I said, just wash your bike occasionally. For them, it's right in the rain.
Oh yeah, I know. They ride it, which is a beautiful thing. I love seeing that. It means they spend more time on the bike riding than they do waxing.
Yep. Now I'm going to answer this question: do you do inverted front ends? I'm going to go with yes. After Christmas, the inverted front end suspension will be available. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct. Yep.
So
currently on the lowrider S, which is inverted, they basically have Harley's version of a cartridge inside, and then the other leg basically is a spring. Okay, so they're not identical left to right. And our stuff will be identical left to right.
And that's what I love is the Symmetry, because some of the other aftermarket shocks will give you a cartridge with a gas chamber for one leg and a full spring like the factor in the other. And to me, for symmetry in your suspension and how each, just in your forks, each leg will react differently to different riding conditions, whether you're in a lean and hit a bump of left
Right.
and right,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
your bike will not handle as good as it should after putting an aftermarket suspension in. That's just me. I could be wrong.
No, you're spot on. And every engineer has their own idea. But you're right. When you're in a lean, especially a certain type of turn with a lot of inputs, you're going fast. You want that front end to do the same thing right to left, because that's where some of the wobble comes from. And that's some of the problem with the rear is
Yep.
you've got a shock that adjusts on one side, nothing on the other side, and you get that wobble at 80, 85, 90 miles an hour. And it's because it's preloading the swing arm differently. It's that simple.
I was explaining that to a customer of mine who's got a 2020 Road Glide Ultra, and he's legitimately have 50,000 miles on that bike. And he was saying, "Yep, I'm going into a corner on the highway, being one up, that I'm getting an oscillation coming out of the back end." And I said to him, "Well, one, you got it too tight, or two, your shocks are way, way off, and you have a different pressures on either side of your swing arm. And the only way really to fix that is to take that stock suspension off, throw it in the garbage where it belongs at mile 0, and then from there, put on a good suspension, like Suspension Technologies, whether you want the Black Hills or the Race Technology, that's up to you." And after talking to him, he's leaning more towards Black Hills. And he's like, "I could just do the rears now." I said, "That's fine. But to really appreciate the rear suspension, to complement it, you should do the front in the future."
And we tell people at the events or at the shop, if you're going to only do one, which we understand a lot of people do the rear first. Absolutely do the rear first, because 60% of what you're feeling is coming from the rear. Now, once you do the rear, you'll notice some of the shortcomings in the front even more so. But we get a lot of guys that will do, like Daytona, they'll do the rears in the spring and they'll do the fronts in the fall. Or Laconia, we had a ton of customers that got rears last year and did fronts this year. Yep. So, but yes, the rears will make a huge difference, and they'll feel the balance difference when they do both. But definitely do the rears first.
Yep. Now, and to put it in perspective for everybody, I mean, the shocks I just took off of my Road Glide were the top of the line Legend suspension, which were the ARCs or the Legend Arc with the remote reservoirs. That's their top of the line shock. They were $1,500 just for the rear. Where Suspension Technologies and their baseline, which is good for everything, not the RT. The RTs are good for spirited riding, but then again, so are the Black Hills, and the Black Hills front and rear, just parts. I spent just under $1,700 for both. So for less than $200 more, I paid for just rears. I was able to do front and rear. And, one added cost in there that I always tell everybody that you should do when you're replacing your forks to something is to replace it and put in new fork seals at that time.
Absolutely.
Because if you reuse your seals, you're just going to have problems.
Yeah, they're just going to leak, they're going to leak down the road. Absolutely.
So Toby Northern asked a question. In terms of Harley's RDRs, does the ST enhance the ride more or make the RDRs more redundant? I honestly don't know. I know the STs have a 13-inch rear shock, where the regular specials and standards have a 12-inch rear shock. And to me, to enhance the stock suspension on a special or standards, go to a 13-inch shock. I went to a 13-inch shock. I don't have a very long end seam, and I'm on the balls of my feet when it's just me, and I'm comfortable with that. So you really want to enhance your bike, step up to a 13-inch shock. You have a little bit more travel. That extra inch of travel makes a huge difference. Please correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been known to happen from time to time. Mike, am I wrong with that assessment?
No, you're not wrong with that assessment. A lot of guys will go to the 13-inch shock to get the extra travel. They get more lean angle so they can ride, as you put it, more spirited. My lawyer's going to love that term, by the way. And I'm going to use that term instead of riding more aggressive.
Or hooligan,
so
as
you
Hells would
can,
say.
yeah, so you can ride more spirited, and the bike will, give you more lean angle. So again, a lot of guys go to the 13. The ARC 12-inch shock has more travel than the stock 12-inch shock. And there's a lot, and we also make an 11-inch shock for the guys that don't have a very long inseam, and they want to ride a street glide or a limited, and they need to get it down. They still want great ride and great handling, because our 11-inch shock set up correctly with our 1-inch low front end. You'll never bottom out. It will do everything you want it to do. You can load it down. I've got a limited that we take around that is as low as you can make one safely. My wife and I ride on that thing all the time, and we never have any issues. So, but a lot of guys, especially in the East Coast, a few years back in New Hampshire, I think we had 3 days where we sold nothing but 13-inch shocks, and the standard front end, because guys were raising the bikes up to be more aggressive and to put up with the roads up there suck.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. To include their best road, which is the Kangamangas Highway. I mean, that could use some attention. But Toby says, I want to rephrase the question. In terms of Harley's RDRs, does suspension technology enhance the ride more or make the RDRs more redundant?
Again, we've ridden several, tons of bikes with the RDRS when we were testing and evaluating. We saw a great improvement with the ride. We feel that it enhances it. A lot of our customers that are high mileage riders, we get a lot of feedback from guys that will put 80, 90,000 miles on a bike in 2 years, trade it in and get another one. They too have said that, the suspension upgrade has just totally improved that bike tremendously. So the answer is yes, it enhances with the RDRS. But that's a great, when Harley put that on bikes, it was one of the greatest things, in my opinion. Definitely one of the best things they've done.
Well, in my case, my bike yells at me saying, "Hey, stupid, you're not supposed to be doing this." And it fights me when I'm in corners, past its desired lean angle and my throttle position and speeds. And it's yelling at me because when I'm one up by myself, I ride a lot more spirited than I would if I have all my eggs on the bike with me, which would be my wife and I.
But have you noticed that with the 13-inch shocks, because your lean angle is higher, you can go to higher speeds before it comes and tells you that?
Well, it happened to me the other day coming home from work. I don't know if you're familiar with Connecticut and 95.
Very familiar.
Okay. In Bridgeport, Connecticut, there's a connector at exit 27A, and it's a decreasing radius uphill connector. And before, on my previous suspension and stock, I was able to go between 25 and 35 miles an hour. The first time I took that corner with suspension technologies, I entered it at 35 and I gassed it and brought it up to 40. And just the other day, I'm a lot more comfortable with the suspension. I was hitting about 47 miles an hour, and the RDRS is flashing and traction control until I came out of the lean a little bit and rolled off the throttle, and I went out because it was yelling at me, going, "Stupid, you're not supposed to be doing this. You're going to hurt yourself." And I'm like, "No, leave me alone." So it does help, and yet depending on how you ride, it could hinder. But to me, the RDRS is an amazing piece of technology Harley put on a bike. Old school bikers, and I'm an old school biker, say, "Oh, it's the worst thing Harley did. I don't need the bike telling me how to ride." Well, you know what? Sometimes the technology will know something you don't.
Absolutely.
Especially with the rain mode and everything. Let me tell you, it's a pleasure to have.
Yes, it is. I see the question there, gas versus oil. You got to have both.
You can't have one without the other.
That's right.
Well, you can have all oil, which is stock, which is garbage.
Right. So they still make shocks for motorcycles that are all oil, no gas. Okay. And it makes damping force in both directions. And chances are it's asymmetrical, which we don't live in an asymmetrical world. When you have a gas charged shock done correctly, and another thing too, let me say this right off the bat, gas and oil should never touch each other, never mix together. So an emulsion shock is gas in the oil. So they put more gas pressure in the shock, which creates a bigger air bubble. Oil's full of air anyways. When we manufacture our shocks, every single shock gets vacuum pumped, and we suck as much air out of that shock as possible. And you'll never get it all out. We can get 85 to maybe 88% out. And then we have a separate nitrogen chamber that we inject the gas into. Because of the way we valve that shock and we balance the base valve with the piston, so the piston doesn't have to do all the work. One of the things I learned in the racing industry, we utilize low nitrogen gas pressure. We don't have to use high pressure. And still, on that dyno, throughout every stroke of that shock, it makes damping force. Some of our competitors, they utilize high gas pressure. That's okay. We understand that. But you're creating a gas spring that's fighting a linear spring. So then the bike is choppy or bouncy. But you have to have both, and you have to have the right mixture and the right separation of both. It's that simple.
Yep, I agree. Unless you're making a Molotov cocktail, that's a different story.
Yes. And to answer this question right here, so throughout this summer of all the events we've done, all the guys that have gone to the 21-inch front tires, we do make a 1-inch low front suspension kit for most of those bikes. And we probably, without exaggeration, installed 200 to 300 of those this summer alone.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I ordered mine, I ordered standard because the factory came with 21-inch wheel on the CVO, which would be the standard front suspension.
Right.
Let's see. Now Dallas is in here, and he has, and so does DDK have suspension technologies. Drew was really excited and yet nervous about my videos coming out because I have owned and ridden on and installed a lot of different suspensions. And I was getting my wife on camera, who hates being on camera, to interview her about how she felt about the back suspension. And she said it was a Cadillac kind of ride for her, which was really nice. And we went over some of the roads we normally go over. Got some frost heaves on there that would launch her out of the seat, which did not. There was a little bit of less pressure on the seat, but she wasn't launched out of the seat and had to hold on tight to me and scream out, which was always a nice thing not to hear in the back of my head, as we're driving down the road or riding down the road.
I understand.
I get it. Yep, I'm going through these questions here. Did you decide to take the bike or going out stage? Oh, it's Gremlin stage 2. And let's see. Motozone's 19 to 21 inch needs shock mods or upgrades. Always wondered about that myself. Yes. There is always a difference in shocks when you go from a 19 inch to a 21 inch tire.
Right.
You can get away with it. You can.
Yep.
But the problem is your frame is now uphill, which changes your geometry and your handling immensely, not in a positive way. You just have to be aware of it when you're riding around and when you're cornering. Let's see. Thanks for the great information. Hitting the sack now. Okay. Good night, Henry. Have a good evening.
Take care, Henry.
Yep. So Dean says the stock suspension of my 2023 Tri-Glide, think it's about an air ride. However, I'm concerned about dependability compared to aftermarket. This is all you, Mike.
Dean, we are the only one in the industry that manufactures a trike-specific shock. Other guys make a trike shock. They do, and they make a good one. The other guys out there make a good shock. We went out, we developed a trike shock for the Tri-Glides, for the Freewheeler, and the Road Glide 3. It has unique valving. It has a unique spring combination. We developed a 14-inch for that bike to raise it 1 inch, so you don't have to put one of the lift kits on it. We also have a stock 13 for that bike. Our shocks, and you know, if you look on the websites, you look at what the people say, there's a lot of trike websites out there, guys, that have our stuff. They love it. It makes the bike ride great, handles great. They can load the hell out of it and never have to touch it. And also, too, what's really cool is with our 14-inch rear shock, you gain another full inch of travel on top of our 13-inch shock has more travel than the stock trike shock by 3/4 of an inch. And then you're adding another inch on that. But when you get the back of that bike up with our spring combination, the front end steers so much nicer. You can steer that thing with one hand. A lot of that wobble you get going up over curbs and stuff, not curbs, but driveway, the transitions.
The aprons.
So, yes, so much nicer. We have guys that when they first put our trike shocks on and they do long distance riding, before at the end of the day, after about 6 hours of riding, their forearms were killing them. We've had guys call us at midnight. Man, my forearms feel great. Please don't anybody call me at midnight, but it's really a nice suspension for the Tri-Glides and the Road Glide 3s and the Freewheelers.
Okay, awesome. Now, I've talking to another customer of mine who's got a 2023 Road Glide 3 that I've been talking to about suspension for his bike, and we're going to be talking more about it in spring after Daytona. You have the rear shocks available. It's the front suspension, is that the same that's in the other touring bikes, or is there a different front suspension for the trikes?
It's valved differently. It's got different valving. It's got different springs. So it's also longer. The trike front end is longer. So if you lay them side by side and look at them, they look the same other than the length. But internally they're different, but they work off the same principle. A high flow, cross flow piston, a base valve, a floating piston that separates the nitrogen gas from the oil. And then, of course, it's valved for the trike. It's valved for the trail and the rake of the trike and the things that people do with them.
Yep. And Dean says, thank you so much. We need an extra inch because of the aftermarket exhaust. Awesome answer. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome, Dean.
There's a question here for me from Drew. Why choose suspension technologies over other brands? Well, I know I touched on it tonight. One is cost, and everybody here is cost conscious because of their bike. Nobody here has an endless supply of money. I know I don't. One day I hope to. That'd be nice if I did. It'd be nice if everybody did, but I don't. Did I need to replace my shocks? Absolutely not. However, I did need to do the fronts because I never did the fronts in the past. I only had the rears done because of cost, and to change the fronts was $1,000 from Legend. So I've been saving up, and then when I get the money, I'm hearing this phenomena of suspension technologies from Drew and Tweedle and Nori and everybody else, upstate rider, of how great the suspension is. And no disrespect to those guys at all. I mean, they went from
they make a very good product.
They went from a stock suspension to suspension technologies, so they really had nothing to compare it against. Where me on the other hand, I've had a lot to compare it against, and I thought about it and I hemmed and hawed over it, and I says, you know what? Instead of spending $1,000 on just the fronts from Legend, let me spend the money, because the shop had the money. I says, let me spend the money. It's only like less than $700 more to do front and rear and really see what this hype is all about. I will give my opinion, and everybody who watches all my review videos knows I will be completely honest in the review if the product is any good. Does it work or is it not worth it? And, you know, I'm sorry, I'll be bluntly honest that way. I will not tell, hey, I just got this. It's the best thing on earth. Go buy it. And it sucks. No, if I bought this and I says, you know, I tried it and it sucks, I'm going to tell you it sucks because I have a thing called integrity. So to go back to the question, why choose suspension tech other brands? One is the cost. Two, in my opinion, it is the leader right now in suspension. Now, I have not tried or ridden on Öhlins. I have not tried and ridden on the Nowakowski performance shocks, and they're big into the king of the baggers. And they're producing a soft tail suspension as well. So I can't say out of all the shocks on the market, this is the best. But I could tell you from stock to progressive to legends, suspension technologies, in my opinion, is the best shock, hands down, for cost, comfort, handling. I mean, what more can you ask for?
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you. Another thing that we take great pride in to help set us apart from the other guys is, one, you're talking to the owner of the company, okay? And you will always talk to the owner of the company. And we are out there at the shows. I go to every show. I'm out there, you know, supporting my product, talking with the customer, letting people know that we are real people. We are bikers, we're riders, and we're passionate about what we do. And our warranty is the best in the industry. You know, like I said earlier tonight, if you have a problem with our product, we're simply going to replace it or rebuild it. It's that simple. You know, 20 years from now, if you've got a problem, we're going to take care of it. The gentleman that was talking about the trike back there, you know, a lot of guys with the trikes is like, well, what happens if I have a problem 6 months from now or 6 years from now? We're going to take care of it. It's that simple. That's what we do. Yep. And we've had guys at the show come up and say, hey, man, my shock needs adjustments, this or that. When we're at the shows, we'll take care of it right there at the show, you know? And then if not, we can just mail them out to you. It's that simple.
See, my wife says it right here. That suspension is as comfortable as riding in a luxury car.
Awesome. Thank you.
You know, and that's someone who sits on the back seat, who's been on stock, who's been on progressive, who's been on legend in every flavor, the Revos, the Revo A's, the Revo Arcs, and now suspension technologies. You know, that's her personal opinion, not mine.
Well, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we do get a lot of high marks from the passengers because our goal is for them to be extremely comfortable.
Yeah. And I can guarantee you guys at every major rally throughout the country, Suspension Technologies is there. If Suspension Technologies is there, Mike is there. I've met him last year for the first time in Daytona.
Right. First time I met you was Daytona.
Yep. Then again, I saw him in Laconia.
Yep.
I met you briefly in Ocean City last year. I believe it was.
No, this was our first year for Ocean City. Now, were you in Milwaukee last year?
No, this year was the first year I've ever been to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee this year. But this was our first year for Ocean City. We do, and we're working on, and it's something I need to talk to Drew about. We're working on Sturgis for next year. It's just, you know, we try to be at all the events. You know, there's some of these guys, we have some good friends in this industry that sell other products, and I admire them because they are on the road as soon as the weather breaks, they're on the road, and they're on the road all year long. You know, we can't do that. I have an agreement with my guys that, you know, we'll have at least 3 to 4 weeks in between events so they can spend time with their families. I have the most amazing wife in the world, and I want to spend as much time with her as I possibly can. So I don't like to be gone all the time. In my last life as a race car engineer, I spent 40 to 45 weeks a year on the road. I'm never doing that again. I want to be home with my family, and I want my guys home with their families. So we try to do the major shows, the big events, and other than that, we can always be reached at the office. So,
but my key point is Mike, the owner of the company. He's there talking to customers, taking orders. I think I've seen you get your hands dirty a couple times out of.
I always work on them. Hell yeah.
And Peanut's
Yep.
pushing you out of the way, saying you're slowing me down. Get out of here. Now,
Yeah.
Salty Badger has made a good comment here. I'm going to highlight it for you. It says, this is a great video and good timing, as I have an '03 Road Glide with 80,000 miles on it and looking at redoing the stock suspension this winter. I will tell you, hands down, if you replace your stock suspension with suspension technologies, of course, replacing your seals with that, the suspension, if you don't change your bushings and check your neck bearings and all that, minus all of that other stuff that ties in the suspension, your bike will feel like a new bike.
Absolutely. And that's a good winter project, especially for you guys up there in the cold weather where it snows. It's a great winter project.
Yeah, it be honest with you, it takes me 4 hours to do front and rear suspension, but I've done it so many times, not as many as Peanut. So I think what Peanut does in a weekend on a rally, I've done in a year.
Right. We can do it. We can do a front in 45 minutes on a 2014 and newer. And I'll one day. So are you coming down to Biketoberfest? Did I ask you that already?
No, you did not. And unfortunately, no, I am not.
Okay. So either after Biketoberfest, get a hold of me and we'll do a FaceTime video and I'll show you how to do it in 45 minutes. Piece of cake. And there's a couple of special tools, but you can make them yourself. You're just going to take a regular snap-on tool and modify it, or a whatever and modify it. And we literally can do a front end in 45 minutes, and I can do a rear shocks in 5.
Okay. I'm looking into getting the Harley Davidson wheel alignment tools. If you've seen that or not, where the bikes are improperly aligned from front to back tire. I'm looking at getting that from my shop.
Nice.
I just bought the digital technician for the shop, or the shop paid for it, I should say. So, we're trying to recoup a little bit of funds here.
I gotcha.
But, my shop is in my garage on my property. It's a part-time hobby kind of thing.
Nice. Hey, so those are some of the best shops out there, bud.
I think so. And let's see. Smoky Mountain need a suspension vendor at the Smoky Mountain rally, they're saying. Definitely need one at Gettysburg.
Beat up on that one a little bit for not being there by some of our friends. So the guys from the Fairing Exchange, they're awesome. And they're good friends of ours. And they have a great product. And they carry some wonderful products as well. And, they give us a hard time sometimes for these shows. Their business model is they do a lot of shows. Ours is a little different, but yeah, we know that the Smoky Mountain Rally needed a suspension vendor. We got beat up on that a little bit, but we had just gotten back from Ocean City. A lot of them guys went from Ocean City to Fayetteville, Arkansas, to Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue, and then to the Smoky Mountain Rally, and then they're going right to Daytona. So we're leaving next week for Daytona. So we can't do them all.
No,
but we're hoping to bring on. So we're working. I might let the cat out of the bag a little bit here, but Drew at Hells to Wheels, we're working with him on doing a lot of the rallies that in basically representing us, which he does a fantastic job. He's like family to us. And so him doing some of the rallies that we just can't go to. So we're working on that to get that up and going and make that work out really well.
There you go.
Yeah, so if I spoke out of turn, Drew, I'm sorry.
That's okay. He'll get over it. He's got tough shoulders. There are many rallies. Let's see. Thumpers say there are many rallies to see them all in 1 year. We're tired. Oh, man. The Thumpers are hilarious. Great people.
They are. They're great people.
Yep.
Everybody I've met through you and Drew and, the Thumper people I met through them. We also do some stuff with the Upshift podcast guys. They're great. Bikes, Beards, and Brew. That's kind of how this all started. He is amazing. So this whole circle of people that we've met through you guys is just awesome. Great people.
Yeah, there's a nice tight knit community I'm lucky to be part of, and Els and everybody that within YouTube that are motorcycle enthusiasts, bikers, rubs, whatever you want to, put a label on somebody. If they need a label, I don't need a label. I don't care. I love riding and I love wrenching on bikes. I
Yeah.
love wrenching on bikes as much as I like riding them. That's just me. Um, However, it's such a great community out here that we support and help each other, and
Yep. You guys do, and it's awesome.
which is
I'm
great.
honored to be part of it. Thank you.
Yep. Riding on threes. See you later. Thanks for coming by. As Drew says at Dr. Harley, breaking news on Doc's Live. I'm not stealing Ray's thunder here for breaking news. But man, what great information. Now I'm going to ask the elephant in the room. Is Suspension Technologies going to be coming out with an air ride for the bikes for the people who want to take their bike and plant it on the ground, hit a button, have it fast up and go?
I'm going to answer that in two parts.
Okay.
Our company line is air rides for semi trucks. Okay. We've actually been working with some people, another great group of people. They want us very much so to make a air ride shock absorber. We have been working on it engineering wise, because for us, one of the things you got to remember about air ride is when you take a standard air shock and you put air in it and you compress it, right away that bag fights back. A standard shock has a linear spring and it goes linear out, linear back. Air ride goes exponential and it gets real tight real quick. And so you go from the sweet spot to real hard. So to circumvent that, you need to come up with an air system that will expand like it should, give you a good ride. The shock absorber needs to do its job. The valving needs to absorb all the energy that this air bladder makes and dissipate it into the world. So it's a funny tightrope to walk. We have been working on it. All honesty, I don't know if we will come out with it completely. We are working on it to make a viable product, and if we are happy with it, then yes, it will come out, and it will actually be sold through other people. We will make it for other companies, and it'll be manufactured by Suspension Technologies, this air ride. Okay. So we're working on that. That's not the top of our list right now. The top of our list obviously is to finish our Softail stuff, the new Softail stuff, to finish our Indian stuff, and we're going to have for all the models also the double adjustable, and then in and around there we will somehow come out with the air ride stuff.
Excellent. And the reason why I ask is, once Spaceball is gone and the chopper is done and that's being raffled or gone, I'm going to build my next personal build for me is I'm going to do a West Coast style Cholo. And part of that is having a full air ride system. When you air it down, you put the frame right on the ground.
Right.
No kickstand, no nothing. Yeah. That's my vision. With a 23-inch front wheel and a 19-inch back wheel, a whole lot of chrome and some wild paint and, extremely large handlebars. And that's my dream. So there's that. So that's why I asked that. So my buddy Mike wants to know, how about a reservoir? Are you coming out with a remote reservoir?
Yes, we will have those out next year.
Next year, Mike.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Elzer the man. I'm getting ready for work at 3:15. All right, Tiger. So that's awesome. So we got some future plans coming out of Suspension Technologies tonight, guy. What's coming up? We have Softail suspension, there's Indian, or as I say, Polaris suspension, because they are Polaris with the Indian name. And possibly, an air ride suspension, but will be built by Suspension Technologies and sold through third-party vendors. That's great. That, the company just keeps growing and growing and growing, more so than what meets the eye.
Well, and our goal is not to grow too big. We don't want to be the largest company in this industry because we don't want to lose touch with customer service. We don't want to lose touch with customer personality one-on-one. We intend to continue to grow and grow at a slow, steady rate. But always, first and foremost, customer service, product quality and assurance, and then product line is how we look at it.
So do you have any partnerships with any of the big box stores like JP Cycles or Revzillas or anything like that?
No, we do not.
And that's probably by design. So you're not mass producing, and you could keep the quality the same.
And those are some great companies, good people. We prefer to do it this way because one, it keeps us in touch with our customer base, no matter how large the customer base gets. Two, we are the one that our name is on the product, so we feel we can represent our product the best it is. As you know, we have a unique relationship with Hells because they represent our product like us, and that's extremely important. And they're the first one we've done that with. We have been approached many times by other people, and we've just never felt the comfort zone as we have with Drew and Crystal. Right. So we, by design, we don't sell through the big box stores. And then also another thing is we want the small guy. You got to shop out on your property. Okay. When you go through them, to stay in certain standings with these companies, you got to buy so many thousands of dollars a month. You can be a dealer for us and buy one pair of shocks a month, one pair of shocks every 2 or 3 months. That way you're not tying up your money on inventory. So that's why we try to do what we do. So the independent small shop, the Harley shops that run on a tight shoestring, they're smart about their money. They don't have to stock a bunch of stuff. We can drop ship it. We can send it out, whatever. So again, by design, we do what we do.
Completely understandable. I mean, Drew has told me directly on one of my lives when we were highlighting H2 Performance and his other venture, which is OF Performance right there in Ormond Beach, that, I am a authorized installer for H2 Performance. So, if someone orders shocks through him that's in this area, and they can say, hey, where can I go to get these installed? I'll come up as a recommended installer, which is I really appreciative towards me. I really appreciate
absolutely, man. That's how this community thrives.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And again, Suspension Technologies, hands down, in my opinion, best suspension on the market. Period. Explanation point. Done. Say what you want. Can't talk me out of it. Try and change my mind.
We appreciate it.
I can't be bought. You could throw a ton of money at me. I'll take it, and I'll tell you what you want to hear. But publicly, I'm going to tell you how I honestly feel because I believe in my integrity, and it can't be bought.
Agreed. Awesome. Awesome. Cool.
That's simple. Case in point, I did a review on Lud jugs that I purchased, and I gave an honest review. And in my opinion, they don't work. They work for one side of the motor, which is the left side, but not for the right. And I use a laser pyrometer to measure temperatures before and after with love jugs. Same temperatures of the day, same humidity, same barometric pressure, same riding conditions, same everything. So it was a very controlled environment, and how I did it. It was very controlled, and I actually had somebody tell me I was wrong to redo it. So I redid it, and the findings were the same. Again, it was a different temperature day, The temperatures were different, but that's because of the outside temperature, humidity, and barometric pressure was all different. But the end result was the same.
Right.
You know, the Turi throttle tuner that was given to me as a gift to do a review and install. And I did a review and install. And I told the guy right up front, look, if I think it's junk, I'm going to send it back to you and tell you it's snake oil. It's junk. I honestly, at that time, I believed it's snake oil. I put it on my Road Glide, and with, you know, a stock bike with slip-ons, performance-wise, I put it on, and let me tell you, I had so much fun that I became a believer in that product. And of course, I released the video on that. And then a video coming up shortly. I was given a headlight from this company that I installed, and I did the review and the installation video. You know, for the money, it's a good headlight. You know, it's a $270 or I think it's $279 for the headlight. For $279 LED headlight, I think it's a great headlight. Now, personally, I'm a Custom Dynamics guy. I'm not sponsored by Custom Dynamics, but they stand by their product. I love their product, and I promote and support that. But when someone gives me a product to install and review, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be honest. Some companies shy away from that. I guess they're afraid of the truth.
It's hard to say. We appreciate, even, you know, we take all input, good and bad, because I need to know what's wrong so I can fix it, so I can change it and make it better.
Well, I could tell you one thing that's wrong. You're not paying Peanut enough money.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Because he's such a great dude. He's got a great personality, and the man is a hard worker from what I've seen at all the rallies.
Yeah, he is. He's a great guy. We're lucky to have him. We're lucky to have him.
Yeah,
absolutely. We're lucky to have all of the people that we have. We take great pride in all our people.
I can't wait to meet all your people in Daytona, because, you know, I've met you and I've met Peanut, and I can't wait to meet everybody else while I'm down there.
Well, you will meet them all, and when we see you in the spring. Hey, I hate to have to get off here now, but I got a couple little odds and ends that I got to finish up this evening.
Absolutely.
And, for me, tomorrow morning comes way too early. So I've enjoyed the hell out of this. This has been great.
Thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Believe it or not, we've been at this for an hour and 17 minutes already.
Yeah. Yes.
Goes by fast.
It's flown by, and it's been fun. Hey, if everybody's coming to the shop to see Peanut, that'd be awesome. Come on over, but I'm charging a cover charge.
There you go.
So Peanut, you guys, and again, we'll have it some more rallies. You know, he's been holding the fort down for us. You know, when you got a guy that you can just leave behind, and you know what's going to get done needs to get done. And Kevin, my guy back at the shop, Kevin, is amazing. And, you know, we got so much more going on all the time as we're talking about these new products. I need more people left behind, and I had to leave Peanut at the shop for the last show, and again for Daytona Biketoberfest, because we've got so much to get done, and I need to be able to not worry about it when I'm on the road, and I know those guys will get it done. So if you want to come to the shop, please do. The doors are always open, and Peanut will definitely give you a laugh. There's no question.
Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you in March. I will be down in Daytona in November, actually in Florida in November, but that's going to be a quick turn and burn for Veterans Day weekend. I have some family issues and I have to work out while I'm down there. Then I'll be home. So the next time I'll be down there for pleasure or for anything will be Bike Week. Mike, I look forward to seeing you and the rest of your team. Again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your time tonight. Thank you for answering all of our questions and being graceful. Thank you so much. Hells, check your Instagram for under H2 Performance. We could round this out tonight by bringing you on and why people should choose H2 Performance for their suspension needs, coming from Suspension Technologies.
Awesome. Absolutely. And I've enjoyed the heck out of it. I can't wait to see you all at one of the events or on the road. Same with Hells and everybody else. Everybody that's been on here tonight, you know, come up. When you see us at an event, come up and say, hey, I'm so-and-so. I was on the YouTube channel, met you there, wanted to meet you live and in person. And we look forward to it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Y'all be safe out there. Ride safe, and we'll see you on the road.
Right on. Good night, Mike. Thank you.
Good night. Good night.
All right, you get 2-second, Hells. Man, Mike, what a great dude he is. I went into great detail, answered. Hopefully, we got everybody's questions answered. I know I missed a few. The side chat was going crazy, and I couldn't keep up with it, and I apologize. But what a great guy! What a great company! What a great product! I think the people are better than the product, but to me, there's nothing better than the product other than the people. I love my suspension. I can't wait to put it on Spaceballs. And once that's done, then I'm going to start the giveaway process for people who order T-shirts to or buy a T-shirt to enter the giveaway, and we'll go from there. See how that works out. I want that all to go. Oh, wait a minute. Coming to the stage, Mr. H2 Performance. Hell's on two wheels. What's up, buddy?
Not much, Doc. Just enjoying the live.
It was a great live. Thank you for making that connection. And, having Mike come on, I thought that was an amazing piece. I'm also sending this out to Jakey. Maybe State Farm will come on.
Like a good neighbor. No, Mike, man, he is full of knowledge. Like every time I'm around him, I learn something new. That man's forgot more than I'll ever learn. So
about suspension, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, his experience, with designing shocks for himself, for drag racing, for NASCAR, and then complaining about his motorcycle. His friends like, "What do you do for a living?" And he designed his own suspension for himself, and then his friends. And then Suspension Technologies was born. I think that's an amazing feat. Good for him. I wish him many, many years of huge success with the suspension because I love it. I'm definitely going to be, buying more in the future for myself and other people. Hopefully making things happen. And of course, I'll go through H2 Performance. And why should people buy from you instead of direct?
It's the same thing, man. Like Mike said, we're the same, as in we're just an extension of Suspension Technologies, and you're going to get the same feel. And I mean, I don't know what you mean. I'm just me.
Right.
I mean,
well,
I love helping people. I love helping people and getting them on the right product to enjoy their motorcycle even better.
Yep.
So,
well, here's my thought on that. Why should someone buy through H2 Performance instead of direct to Suspension Technologies? My thought is, I'm my brother's keeper. And what better way to do than help my brother put food on his table by buying the product through him? Let him get a piece of the pie. Suspension Technologies gets a piece of the pie, and everybody's happy. If I go direct to Suspension Technologies, I'm taking the pie away from you. Or ice cream. I said it, ice cream.
Well, you said everything tonight. You said rubs and ice cream and all this stuff. And the rub thing, I have to admit, I have become a rub because I rode an 07 Road King and I wanted my fairing, my radio, my suspension.
Hey, rub-a-dub-dub.
I want it all back.
Rub-a-dub-dub.
Yeah, I loved it. No, so here's the thing. Mike has pretty much become a second father to me. Like, he will straight up just be like, "Hey, I wouldn't do that." Give great advice.
Mm-hmm.
And I love working for him. Of course, I worked rallies, built suspension. Peanut taught me a ton. That dude's really knowledgeable, especially about building them.
Well, I want to say this. Good morning, Tweedle. I hope we didn't interrupt your sleep.
Yeah. But I guess what you want to say is I kind of created my own job on a product that I love.
Yeah.
And
believe in and support.
Exactly.
And I like the fact that he doesn't do sponsorships.
No.
Because amongst creators, not with me, but I've seen it in other creators. Why is this one getting the product for free and I'm not? So, and they won't give it to me, so I'm not going to deal with them. People get petty. Where if he says, you know what, no to everybody for sponsorships, then everybody's going to love the product. And, there's no hard feelings. There's nothing. What's up, Jake?
What is going on, Doc? Hells, how you guys doing?
It's great. But what you're saying, Doc, this is the stuff that makes you fall in love with these people and the product. All right. People got to realize they're not a huge company. Like you're starting to see their stuff more and more. They're not a huge company. They are a real tight knit family type of company.
Yep.
And
very few dealers throughout the country.
Right.
There's one here in Connecticut. I don't agree with that company, so I'm not going to say their name. I'm trying to get my Yankee Harley Davidson to be a dealer for them. I think it'll be a great add-on because they push a lot of legend.
Right.
And if they get into suspension technologies, I think they will find a better value and their customers will be much happier. Just my opinion.
Yeah, my thing is if I can get you to ride it, you will love it.
Yep.
I mean, and we have dealers that's picked it up around here. I'm like, even one dealer, the GM's like, all right, you believe in this much? I'm going to purchase it off of you. My guys are going to put it on. I hope you back it. We're going to find out. And he took off and rode to Wisconsin to Milwaukee on it after they put it on. Came back. He's like, you want that spot on that wall right there? They've not to name other brands, but they're done with that brand. That's how much he fell in love with that suspension.
Yep.
Like he's done with it.
Yep. I'm with him. And you know what? I'm with Tiger. I'm a bub, a broke urban biker.
I think about all of us are.
Yeah.
If you have a motorcycle habit, you're probably a broke urban biker.
Yep. Or a tattoo addiction like me.
Yep. But no, man, it's they don't do sponsorships. But here's the thing: you can't help but love them. The more time you spend around them, the more you realize what they're about. Their heart's in the right place, and they thrive on having top-notch products and customer service.
I think he said it right when he says we're a company based on bikers building motorcycle parts and the best part that they can produce. And to find out that they're dyno testing and they pair things up within 2% just blew my mind. I thought it was 3%. So I was wrong. It's 2%. And that's negligible.
Yeah, that's minute.
You're talking a drop of water in a 5-gallon bucket.
Yep.
That negligible. What do you think about that, Jake?
Doc, I cannot wait to get a set on my bike. Listening to everybody else talk about it has got me ants up my pants. I mean, I'm dying to get a set. It's like Drew said, anybody that if you can get them on them, then they love them. And I don't even have them yet. And I'm absolutely stoked for
Good night, Mike. Well, I can't speak
wait.
on the soft tail shocks. I have not had them. I have not tried them. I can't wait to get them. I cannot wait to try them. And I can't wait to have them valved for Spaceball.
That's where
if they're anything as good as their touring suspension, then sold.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll be as good, if not better. Especially when they get into the custom valving for high horsepower, like I was talking to Mike about tonight, because that's my biggest concern is I don't want to take a suspension and have, hey, this is the bike. This is the suspension I need it for. Is this something you could do? And he said, yeah, we can do it. We just need to know, and we'll make the valving. We'll make the shocks and forks for you for that application to help keep that front end down.
This goes back to how they are. as in when you have a smaller company, you can deal directly to the people instead of through stuff. They build a lot of stuff for people that you don't realize they build for. And the same thing, if you're building your bike up and it gets to a point, you're like, hey, my bike's doing this now. They can make that suspension fit you for what you're trying to do.
Exactly, which is awesome. But if you buy through H2 Performance, you have the same amount of quality assurance with your order.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions that you might have with your order, you can always contact Hells on Two Wheels through, the contact part within his website, which is theh2performance.com.
Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend it.
And if you're in the middle of an order and not sure, feel free to reach out and contact me. I will help you through the order.
Yep.
Or I can put the order in and just send you the link, and then you can purchase that way.
Here's a true story. When I ordered my suspension, I ordered a -1 because that's what I'm used to for the 21-inch wheels. And when I was talking to Hells, he's like, no, the standard. Get the standard. They'll make it for your 21-inch wheel because they know what bike you're putting it on. Do not get the -1. And I says, well, I already ordered it -1. He says, I got it. I'll handle it. And they came in standard. I mean, God, if I did that through JP Cycles, they're like, well, when you get them, send them back. We'll do a refund and, order another set, which makes a longer turnaround period than a quick phone call and did not delay from the order to ship date production, which was awesome.
Yeah, I go over every order and make sure. That's why if you guys go to order, there's a little comment box. Leave me all the information that you can. Like, hey, I'm looking at this because I got this bike and I want to ride this. This is what I think I'm doing. And I'll look the order over. If I have any questions, I'll give you a call and say, are you sure? And then we'll go over stuff because we wanted to do our best to get it right the first time so you're not having to do stuff like that.
Yep. Dallas, I thought you were a dime store cowboy. Because the penny stores are gone. They're dime stores now. So we need a word. Salty bagger. We need a Where's Waldo app for the thumpers. That's funny. But, Jake, you're part of H2 Performance as well, correct?
Indeed, I am.
Okay. And what is your role within H2 Performance since Hells is reviewing? I don't want to put you on the spot here. He's reviewing all the orders that come in, answering any of the questions. So if someone needs to get a hold of Jake with H2 Performance, why would they need to get a hold of you?
So right now, kind of a little bit of a liaison to Hells. I'm also kind of in a transition stage right now where I'm trying to become more involved. So really, I can get you in touch with Hells and we can get any information that you need. Either I can talk to him on behalf of the customer or I can put the customer directly in touch with him so that all the questions can be answered, completely get you the right information the first time. The big thing is we want you to have the correct product to enhance your riding experience from the get-go. Customer service is as big for us as it is for Mike at Suspension Tech. And I feel confident in saying that on behalf of the company, H2 Performance. They can find me on Instagram at Jake_Ride H2 Performance. And
feel free to message you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Does not matter. Hit that call button at 3 a.m.
I'll say it. So Jake is still in the military full time. Yeah. So I do not want to put a lot on Jake right now.
Gotcha.
Jake is honestly more of my lean-to when it comes to business. I'll talk to him, be like, all right, here's the scenario, here's what we're doing, and I get his point of view of stuff.
He's your sounding board. He's your angel on your shoulder, and you're the devil on his shoulder.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because Jake is kind of an old soul in a young body.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times he's more calm than I am about stuff. Like, let's ride over that sidewalk. Well, he probably shouldn't. But yeah,
You're like, Jake, hold my beer. He's like, hold on, maybe we shouldn't do that.
but in the same sense, he's doing great. He's learning. He wants to be on board, and he's getting ready to start transitioning to the civilian world where he can actually get more involved into the everyday business stuff. And it's not because I don't want him. It's just I know he has a lot on his plate with his full-time job and family. I don't want to take him away from that and put more pressure on him.
Understood. So Corey said he thought Jake was the complaints department.
Actually, Jake is the complaints department.
So if you have any complaints, get a hold of Jake. If you have any HR inquiries, get a hold of Tweedle.
Yeah, because HR
especially at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, because HR is not human resources. It is. He's wrong. He wrong.
He wrong.
He wrong. He wrong.
So, no, dude, I appreciate Doc what you do, promoting, helping.
Hey, like I said, I like to promote products I believe in and products that I trust. I trust this suspension more than any other suspension that I've installed. I do have a client coming in who, on his own, went out and bought the Olin suspension. So I will actually be looking forward to installing it front and rear and taking it for a road test when it's done. And now I'll have another suspension to compare it to.
Which series did he get? Do you know?
I did not ask.
Okay. Yeah, because I came off 044's suspension tech.
Yeah. So I used to run Olin's shocks. They were custom valve shocks or struts for my autocross car. And they would have to go out the end of every season to be rebuilt because I was competing on a national level. So, Hoosier tires, Olin suspension, hind joints instead of bushings, and all my control arms and things like on and on and on. And it was a Miata that was nationally competitive in 2006 on a 95. And it was an 11-year-old car that was nationally competitive in a street modified 2 class. So, that's my only experience with Olin's, and I can't speak of any experience with motorcycles and Olin's.
Sorry, Dallas making his funny jokes make me laugh in the middle of an interview.
Let's see. The president of the Secret Hell's fan club gets zero love. Is he the president of your fan club, Hells?
Not the fan club, the secret fan club.
Oh, I didn't know there was a secret fan club.
Yeah, there's a secret fan club. He says it's for the people that like me but won't
admit it
in public.
Okay. Now the question is, do they touch themselves and think about you? I hope not.
If they'll buy suspension, I don't care what they do.
Buy 2.
Yeah. But yeah. I hope people enjoyed this. Like, you listen to Mike, you're like, okay, now I get why Hells loves the suspension. So,
yeah, I like I said, I love suspension. I love my suspension technologies because the best way you can upgrade any bike is how it feels and how it handles. Performance is great, but if you don't have the suspension to handle that performance, Spaceballs, you end up in that situation. Now, yes, I do ride Spaceballs. I was out on it today and yesterday, back and forth to work, and it's just a fun bike to ride. It's quick, it's nimble, it gets out of its own way really easily, and when you need to go, you just go. And it's a great bike. I just wish I had a better suspension. And of course, when you're talking, performance, with stock suspension, you notice how crappy that stock suspension is, especially when you have another bike with an upgraded suspension with less performance.
Right.
You really notice it. And the only reason why Spaceballs isn't done yet is because, Fox suspension doesn't make any, their standard shocks and everything that they have is good for a standard horsepower. Same thing with Legend, same thing with Progressive. It's good for standard horsepower. they're telling me that, I need to get a custom made shock. I need a custom made shock, and it's going to cost me tens of thousands of dollars for it. Then, I talked to Mike, and he's like, look, we'll make it for you. Just tell us what you want and we'll make it.
Yep.
So I'm like, right on.
Yes.
Let's see.
Well, hey, Doc, I just want to let you know, Crystal's been riding that shock for a long time.
I know she has.
So she's actually
been in the R&D.
Yeah, she was
the crash test dummy.
Yeah.
Or as we could say, the park the bike theft dummy.
Yeah. She they made several changes while she had. We take it over, they redo stuff because ride it, and we'll be like, okay, it's doing this, and we just keep working on it. So finally, the end of it's like, okay, yeah, and he's like, all right, we're going to start making them.
Salty Packer goes, I ride a hardtail daily and still trying to figure out why I'm here. Well, because education is key, man. I mean, you can never learn too much, whether it's within your wheelhouse or not, because you never know. You might come across something and someone's talking about something and your memory banks, you go, I remember that. And then, you could be part of that conversation and sit there going, hardtails rule, which they do because they don't leak or fail as far as suspension goes, especially in the rear.
Salty Badger, all you have to remember is rideh2.com.
Rideh2.com.
That's where you send everybody.
That's it. Let's see. Also says, because you're really deep down into a bagger. No. Wilkie, yeah, said that. So, yeah, I mean, I believe in the product. I believe in, the purchasing and the whole process of going through Ride H2 Performance was very simple, very easy. They stay in constant contact with you. Hey, I got a text saying that order received. I got another text that your order was shipped with a tracking number and everything. I was like, sweet. So I knew it was going to get here.
That's why we pride ourselves. We're working on creating the best customer experience we can and making it very simple.
It is. You couldn't make it any easier unless you gave it away for free, and that's just not going to happen.
It's impossible, especially when you're starting a company. Every dime and dollar counts.
Yep. And every fake copper penny.
Yeah.
Because they're not real copper anymore.
Because if you're doing it legit, a lot of entities want their hand in the pot. So.
Yep. And YouTubers are the best for trying to get a hand in the pot.
And that's the funny thing is we never did that with Mike. I just enjoyed being able to talk to him. Just talk to him and ask him questions. And he's always willing to answer.
Yep.
Or I'll be like, I'll be riding and be doing like, oh, Mike, it's doing this, it's doing that. And he'd be like, it's because of you. I'm like, no, it's because he's like, all right, he'd be like, okay, when you're doing this, change your throttle hand this way, or and a lot of it's grudge racing, stuff like that, because he has a lot of racing experience. And I would change it. He's like, told you. And I'm like, oh. But in the other side, I've seen him literally. I'll be on the phone with him talking about something, and he'll be like, all right, take a quarter turn out of each rears. All right, I take it out, and it fixed the customer's problem. Like that's how much experience he has that he can just tell you, do this.
Yeah, I mean that's the wealth of knowledge that he brings to his company, and to bring it to a great product. And the proof's in the pudding. I'm sure if somebody bought that for that suspension for some godforsaken reason they weren't happy with it, I'm sure Hells and Mike will do everything they can to make it right for you, because that's what they're all about. They're not about making the sale and saying thank you, goodbye.
Nope.
They're about, keep making you a happy customer, whatever it takes. I'm sure there's a limit to that.
But usually we can find the solution that they're looking for.
Yeah.
Because happy customers make great friends.
Bingo. And also the best advertising while you're at it.
They are.
I mean, let's be honest. When you have a good product with great service, they are your best marketing tool out there. Because, if you have 1,000 attaboys and you have one person sitting there going, garbage, that will do more harm than 10,000 attaboys.
Yep.
And that's what every business owner tries to avoid, is that one garbage response or review or anything. And that's why I think that and believe that, Right H2 and Suspension Technologies is a trendsetter of an old trend.
Well, really, Mike's the trendsetter, and he's a great teacher to have the next younger generation push on with what's happening.
Yep, right on. Right on.
So
this has been a great night. It's been full of amazing conversations, which I enjoy. I know everybody else has. I've run out of questions to ask Hells and Jake, and of course, Mike, about suspension technologies and suspension questions, because I had a few that got answered. Everybody else had a few. Hells, thank you for keeping me honest with the questions tonight. We're going on an hour and 45 minutes. I'm kind of feeling we're ending with 25 people on. So what I want to do is just open this up to a general conversation around suspension. So what I'm going to do, if it's okay with Hells and Jake, I'm going to put the link in the side chat. And if you have a suspension question, feel free to pop in or a statement. Feel free to pop in, and instead of typing it, let's hear it right from the horse's mouth. How do you two feel about that?
Let's do it.
Let's
All right.
do it. Even though your show got some more breaking news, I'm like,
Did you learn anything tonight, Hells?
I did learn one thing, and then the other thing, he was letting cats out of the bag.
Yeah.
Like, hang on, you just told me not to say that.
Well, he just let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah. Hey, he's the guy in charge, so.
He beat a boss man now.
Yep.
And all his chillins just sit there and do as we're told.
Yeah. Wait until you meet Greenie. Kevin's awesome. Of course, you met Peanut.
If you've been by the Suspension Technologies tent booth at the rallies, if you didn't meet Peanut, that's because you weren't paying attention to who was around, because Peanut is quite animated and funny, and he does a great job. He's a great wrench, and he's got a great personality that you sit there and makes you laugh. With a name like Peanut, how can you not be funny?
And if you ever get a chance, go over to the shop and go on a tour, because they'll show you everything. They'll take you in. They'll show you where they're building stuff at. They'll show you the dyno. They'll show you everything. And then you'll actually meet the person that runs the place, and that is Kathy. And yes, I am sucking up to Kathy right now because she is an awesome woman. They always make sure my paperwork is correct.
There you go. There you go. And of course, along with the awesome women in your life is Crystal.
She just beats me with a stick and tells me to go on.
Well, of course. I mean, you're a very happily married man. If anybody has a question about that, really wants to know, ask Crystal.
Yeah. She's laughing on the couch at that.
My wife is funny. She says, when I heard Peanut, I think of Jeff Dunham.
Yeah. Well, you're not close, because he's about as crazy as that puppet. So.
Yeah. Wilkie says Susie gets done paying for his roof on his camper and recoups some money, he's going to get suspension. You won't be sorry that you did it. Trust me.
And I'll be right here to help you.
1 or 2 shocks on the Springer, 1 gremlin.
Actually, if you go and read in some of the Suspension Technologies website, in their blog post, they started doing like a highlight of their dealers and stuff. And he has one guy that does like custom builds. He's building a chopper, and he made a Springer front end with 2 Suspension Tech custom built, which means they were short, really short
Yep.
shocks. He took 2 of them and put them on the Springer front end to build that chopper.
Yep. Tweedle wants to know, where's my phone? It's probably in your hand.
I don't know. Ask Crystal. The 2 of you could look together to find your phones.
Wait a minute. What happened? Did he lose his phone?
Call yourself. See if you find it.
Yeah. My question to Tweedle is, have you enjoyed the messaging in the morning? I have. Jake, I know you have.
I look forward to it every morning.
How about you, Drew? Have you enjoyed it?
Oh yeah, it makes me laugh all the time because I know exactly I know who is still in bed and is probably hating that.
Yeah, and I'm quite sure that person now turns their phone off when they go to bed. Oh,
I know Dallas enjoys it.
yep. Yeah.
I think that's just along with his morning coffee.
Yep. Tweedle says he turns his notification. Oh, come on, Tweedle. It's all good fun. You could take an afternoon nap.
How? He doesn't wake up till the afternoon.
Well, 12 noon for us is afternoon. For him, that's morning. 5 o'clock is evening for us. For him, that's his afternoon.
You're right.
See, stock wasn't bad until he hit Western PA. Well, you say stock wasn't bad. Wait until you ride a bike with a real suspension on it. Then you'll sit there and say stock was the worst thing I've ever ridden on.
You mean like, yeah, you mean like the other days? Like I said, I got back on the 07 Road King with the old air shock style. And it makes you go, how in the world did I do this before the suspension?
Yep. So I think somebody should go by and do a burnout in Tweedle's driveway at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Dan. Where's Dan at? Let's send him out there.
I mean, who's not afraid to do a burnout that lives close by?
DDK?
Ray?
Somebody.
I would.
Wilkie says, never had anything but stock. Yeah, and let me tell you, you don't know what you're missing. You don't.
And it's not against it. It's just if you've never had it, you're like, you don't know anybody. You're like, oh, yeah, here it is, and that's how it's going to be.
I tell you what, perfect person to ask DDK. And then ask Dallas, too.
Yeah, ask Dallas.
Because didn't DDK get suspension technologies as well?
I don't know.
Not yet. Maybe he should.
I think it was like next month he plans on.
Okay.
I think it was next month. That's Dallas. Dallas got it. He was even like, wow.
Yeah.
Dallas, why don't you come on and tell us about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dallas, let's hear your input. I mean, everybody here's mine. I want to hear from somebody who, went from stock and only stock to suspension technologies or to another suspension.
That would be Dallas.
Let's hear from Dallas on this. I mean,
because
stock is good to get it off the factory floor and to you. And I always, like I said, exhaust, handlebars, grips, and suspension are the first things I upgrade on my motorcycles when I buy them, except for Spaceball. But as far as baggers, that's the first thing I do because I look for the comfort and the ride going on road trips or just around town.
Really, besides doing like a big bore kit or something, doing your suspension will be the most drastic change that you'll do to that bike.
Yep. Dallas has got to get up early for our conversation. Don't worry, Dallas. We'll get you up.
Come on, Dallas. 5 minutes.
He's
scared.
waiting. He's waiting for me to come steal the concrete truck to do another video.
Shh. Plausible deniability.
Oh yeah, allegedly.
Allegedly. Good
No,
night,
sir.
Kyle.
Well, I was going to be like, no, sir, I did not steal this concrete truck. I was just helping you fill in the potholes.
I didn't steal it. I borrowed it.
Yeah. I'm just going to
I didn't
McDonald's
have
to get
the
ice cream.
intentions of returning it.
Yeah.
So let's hear Crystal's opinion of suspension tech. She went from stock to suspension tech. Is she camera ready? Hair, makeup done?
No, not really, but
They're still beautiful.
Hang on. She's fluffing the hair. She's looking into the TV, fluffing the hair.
no.
Now she's turning red, getting ready to kill me.
That's every day.
There's a difference between mad red and embarrassing red. All right.
Absolutely. See, I know if I embarrass my wife, she gets mad. So there really isn't.
I'm used to him embarrassing me. It's all
It's
right.
just shades of red.
No, I was dumping your fucking tobacco off of it.
Here she is, everybody.
Hello.
It's the one and only beautiful Crystal. So let's hear your opinion going from a stock suspension on your Lowrider S to help develop the suspension
I don't
for
want it in my
suspension
face.
technologies.
Well, I rode on stock suspension and seat to Key West, and I swear I think my tailbone was bruised from that ride, and I was like, never again. This all has to be changed. We did change the suspension. Originally we did the Black Hills heavy duty spring, and we immediately put it on and done 10,000 miles across country in 23 days. If that's not a test, I don't know what is.
Doing a couple miles a day.
A couple miles a day. Now, nothing is comfortable when, on the back of a bike after 1,000 miles. You're going to be tired no matter what. But it, by far, I don't think I could have done that for 23 days in a row without changing that suspension.
Yep.
There's just no way we could have done. I don't think we could have done it.
Yeah. Because that stock suspension is garbage.
Yeah.
Sorry, Harley Davidson, but your stock suspension is garbage.
They probably already know that.
Just like their handlebars and their exhaust.
They have to make it generalized for everybody, knowing that you're going to change it.
Everybody's going to change it.
Yeah.
Well, 95% of the people are going to change it.
So why put the money in that part of the bike when everybody's going to change it to customize it for themselves anyways?
Well, no. I think their theory is why put the money in that bike when we could put it in our pockets?
Well, that too.
Which brings up the segue to next week's conversation. The cost of Harley Davidson, is it way out there to the point where it's unreachable compared to its competitors being Polaris / Indian, Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, Kawasaki? And I've done some research on it, and I think everybody will find these results to be shocking. I'll leave it at that. So make sure you tune in next week where we have good conversation over comparing Harley Davidson's most popular models, the Street Glide, the Road Glide, the Ultra Limited, and the Lowrider S, and comparing it to other manufacturers' bikes as far as cost. I think that everybody's going to be shocked.
Now, you want to talk about the Softail I've been riding it for a year. Now I did not get to ride the ultimate finished product. But I can tell you there was a difference in when it was stock and when they did make adjustments on my bike. There was a difference. And I mean, Drew rode my bike a lot to test it out. So it's not just coming from me. He put his 2 cents on it and some of the things.
Leslie, I drag race a Lamborghini.
Yeah, he did drag race a Lamborghini on my bike, and they were balls to the wall on I-4 and
Mexico.
Mexico. And he was right at the rear quarter panel. He didn't beat the Lamborghini, but he was right there. So I mean, I can tell you that there is a difference in the suspension, but I never got to ride the true final product, so I'm sure it will even be better than what I had.
Yep. Well, when you have the opportunity to possibly win Spaceballs, and
I'm gonna try.
And other people said if they won it, they would give it to you. Because I think this person said they want to see you hand Drew his ass.
I think Tyler should be a president of the people that wants it.
Don't tell Drew that.
Hey, listen, he don't like to admit it, but I've took him at the light a couple times.
Well, yeah. Well,
now,
I guarantee you this, Crystal, the lifters won't fail on you.
I can tell you, I mean, he can outrun me at the end of the day, but I like to give him a run for his money. If anybody's heard about when I broke my compensator, I was giving her all she had, knowing I can't win, but I was sure going to try.
That's it. Well, there's no compensator in Spaceballs. None.
So
that was removed. So you can't break it. You could twist the welded crank, but that'll take a lot.
Don't put it past me. Don't put it past me.
I would have put it past you or Drew.
So, but I can contest that. Now, I've even rode on the RTs on the back now. Mm-hmm. I think there is a significant difference between the Black Hills and the RTs. The way that I try to explain it is Black Hills is your Cadillac. It's your nice, smooth, comfy ride for the ladies, that are on the back, and, they don't want to feel every bump and, ride in class. Your RTs you do get a little more road feedback. Now that I ride, I understand how that's sometimes important when you're riding more aggressive.
No, spirited.
Spirited.
Oh, more spirit. So I understand the difference between the two a little more now that I do both. I've rode on the back and ride my own. I can tell you, I don't know. I don't like being a passenger anymore. Because there's only so much you can do to make a passenger comfortable. It's, if you really want to be comfortable, ride your own bike.
Yep.
Ultimately.
Yes, I agree. And, my wife's right there with you that she believes that the Black Hills is just as uncomfortable as riding into a luxury car. But you could still do spirited riding with it, but probably not as spirited as you can with the RT. And that's the reason why I didn't get the RT, is because we do a lot of two-up riding on that bike.
Well, I mean, Drew can tell you, we were carving Colorado canyons at 90 miles an hour on Black Hills with both of us and a ton of luggage and had no problem on the Black Hill. So, a lot of people don't need more than that.
No, not at all. And not everybody's like Tweedle who wants to, or hells and carve some mountain roads and some canyon passes and things like that. Some people like to make their own roads. I rode with a guy, and he was coming home from a party one day, and he hits a bump in the road and wondering why there's park benches in the middle of the road. That's a true story.
It happens.
Why are there park benches in the street? Because I said, dummy, you went on the grass. There's a park in the middle there. Who puts a park in the middle of the street?
Oops.
Well, that's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, we really want everybody to try them, to be, to love them as much as we do. And plus, I don't want to speak on quality versus price. I guess I'll touch on it. It's not your cheapest, price wise, but you're getting so much bang for your buck, and you can do your whole bike for almost the same price. And that means a lot when people are choosing stuff for their bike, because budget always plays a role, and if you say it doesn't,
That's why we found them.
that matters. Budget matters. And
budget always matters, but when you can go for top of the line shock from company A to top of the line shock from company B and be here on cost with company B and company A is here, why not go with company B? Especially when you're buying from a very reputable company that stands by their product at 100%.
And Suspension Technology has not done, they don't have a huge marketing budget. They don't put money really into marketing at all. You see them at the rallies and stuff like that, but they don't have that big name because that's not where they put their money. They put their money in their product.
Yep. And research and development and testing and engineering, and it shows within the product. And of course, in their people as well, because you wouldn't keep people like he does if they're not, taken care of.
Right.
And you wouldn't forge relationships with other people like you and Drew if they did not, believe in that product. I mean, you guys believe in it so much that you forged a relationship with Mike and his company to start your own company, and you bring Jake in, which I think is awesome. And then, and you spread the word, and, I get off the Legends bandwagon, and now I am a suspension tech
Well,
fan.
and I think some people go with brands just because that's all they know. They've not heard of this brand or this brand. I mean, there's still even a lot of people that don't know anything other more than Progressive.
Right.
Because that's all that, drag sells, or,
Yep.
or whatever.
Well, when you're looking on like JP Cycles or any of the other big stores online, at suspension for your bike, it's Progressive, Fox, Legend, and RWD. Now, I've never installed or ridden on RWD suspension, but that's all you see, and that's what people know because that's what they see. And then they look at the price and they're like, well, I could do front and rear Progressive for a price of rear from Legend, so I'm just going to get Progressive. And of course, to them, it's the best thing in the world because they have nothing to base it on. So
there's still a lot of barriers to break to get Suspension Tech's name out there and H2 Performance out there, to have it more recognizable, because it is a great product. And just because you're not buying it from a big box store doesn't make it less of a product.
Correct. Correct. And, we all heard it tonight right from the horse's mouth. The owner of the company, who doesn't sit in an office or on a beach in some faraway land, letting his people do all the work. He's actually out there doing the work. He's in the trenches, and, he's a worker
means
bee
a lot
just
to
like
him.
everybody else. And he's the first person when you walk up to the booth at the rally, he's the first person you see, the first person you talk to, because everybody else is busy installing their stuff.
No, he's always in the shop working with the guys too.
Yeah.
He's not in the office a lot. He's out there working.
Exactly. I've seen him at the rallies, getting bikes done, and Peanuts kick him aside, says, "Get out of here, slowing me down."
And we understand that, I can see that, they're talking about budget matters. We do understand it's not the cheapest product on the market. So what, we would rather if you got to save a little while to get the better product, sometimes it's worth it. If you could just hold on and save and make it worth it, and also something that wasn't mentioned is through H2 Performance, we can actually finance your shocks.
Yep.
If you don't have the money right away and you want to make payments, we do have payment options available on our website.
And that's not just with credit cards.
Right.
Correct.
Now, do you use things like what is it?
Drew, can you answer which ones are on there?
Affirm.
It's either Affirm or Afterpay.
It's Afterpay.
It's Afterpay.
It's because they're better at approving people than Affirm.
Yeah, it's Afterpay, and so you can make payments according to what what's in your budget.
We set PayPal. PayPal does financing stuff. We set
PayPal.
Basically about anything.
So there are other options on there than you just having to put it on a credit card or say or whatever.
Mine went on the shop card, so.
Yeah.
Well, most people it does, but there are options out there for people, if they would want to finance.
Yep.
Well, I gotta tell you, Doc. I was in that same position. I started on a Sportster, about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And I mean, if you've ever ridden a Sportster, you know that suspension is even worse. And so I was constantly looking at shocks, and you're 100% right. The only stuff that I ever saw was, the Progressive, Legend. I saw Olin's, but, talking back to the budget thing, who would put Olin's on a Sportster if, for general riding?
I think the cost of Olin suspension is more than a Sportster's worth.
Right, exactly. And, so that was always
you're definitely not going to get your money back in on trade-in.
No.
And I'll be honest with you, I never did end up doing the suspension, and I'm really glad that I didn't because, now that I'm on the lowrider, obviously that suspension would have been gone.
Yep.
But, now I've got an even better option at a very competitive price market.
I think it's better than competitive as far for the product you're getting to the cost, comparing it to the product you would get at a higher cost from another vendor or another manufacturer.
There's a question on here. Do you only make shocks for Harleys? Can you answer that?
No,
Yes,
they don't. They're making them for Indian.
Well, we already make some Indian products.
Yeah, they I know they already make the shocks for the Scout Bobber, correct?
The Scout and the Scout Bobber.
Scout and Scout Bobber.
And we're getting ready to finish the whole line.
Yeah, and the Touring should be coming out soon. Now, I don't know when soon is. Definitely by next year.
You want me to get on there and elaborate on this?
Yes.
Sure, come on, Drew. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate your loveliness. Now my life just got a whole lot uglier.
And there go the views.
Yep.
Boy, what's it? Everybody dropping out. Oh,
Jesus, I went down to 3. I went from 300 to 3.
Chris will get back here.
Yeah.
I'll just use you. I'll use you as a puppet. I'll stand behind you.
There you go.
Yeah, we do scout bobber. We're working on the rest of the Indian line right now, and that being around all this stuff and learning how it works, your dates kind of get pushed, and a lot of it has to do with either available material to make the like what part you need, or you think you have it and you go and test it and it's still not to our quality standards, because we have a very high standard with the quality parts that we put out. So we rather take a little more time to make a better product than rush something to the market.
Right, which speaks a lot for the company, because they're not looking at, okay, let's just make the dollar and we'll fix it later. No, let's spend the dollar and fix it now and make it right, then get it out.
But here's the other side. If you have a particular motorcycle, just get in contact with me, because that's the cool thing about what we do is we've made shocks for Hondas. We've made shocks for all kinds of different things. If we just have to know what you're looking for, and then we can actually price it to you. Yeah, we can build the shock. Here it is. Just because
a custom shock for your bike.
Right.
That's awesome.
But I don't like to use custom because a lot of people think custom's like super expensive, and a lot of times it's not. It's not like outrageously expensive, because a lot of times we can adapt what we have to fit what you're trying to ride.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't produce it in big quantities.
Yeah, because I know that like the Indian Challenger, those shocks are internal in front of the rear fender that go down to the swing arm, and there's 2 bolts that go through. It's a very complicated but simple system that I'm sure is not easy to create something, and I'm sure there's a lot of research and development going into that as we speak.
Right, and that's the other thing is it's not only we're trying to make a product for whatever motorcycle, we also have to think about how's it install. How can we improve the setup? You know, you just don't want to make something that completely just replace it the same way it came. There's a lot of times we can improve it to make it easier to get to, easier to work on if something happens. So there's not just the product itself, there's also a whole process, because we got to know how we can install the stuff at rallies at the same time. Do we need to make a special tool? Do we need to do, something? So I was just like, let's slam it together. Gee, thanks.
Sorry.
I was like, years of being around them, I still got a lot to learn, but man, they have stuffed my head full of knowledge.
That's awesome. Knowledge is power.
Well, my whole thing is I know a lot of kick-ass motor builders. I know a lot of kick-ass fabricators. And I'll be straight with you. I didn't know a lot of people that knew suspension. That's why I kind of went into that direction of learning how to do suspension.
There's not a lot out there of people that make suspension. There's not a lot of, there's a lot, but there isn't at the same time. You have more motor builders and more aftermarket motor parts and, body parts, but not a lot of suspension manufacturers out there that put out a good quality product that they stand by.
Or guys that work on them that actually understand suspension. They know it, but I might really be a true expert at it. There's not a lot of guys out there.
Yep.
So that's kind of why I went to this direction. I'm like, hey, I can fit into this niche right here.
There you go.
I can have all these friends that are kick-ass to do this other stuff, and we can just work together as one big family and do something.
Exactly. And that's why Dr. Harley buys all the suspension that people want directly through Ride H2 Performance.
Exactly.
Because I know I'm going to get a good quality product at a good, fair price. That if there's ever a problem, you would stand by it.
Exactly. That's it right there. I was going to say, and if you have a problem or need there's something, that I'm right here to work with you to try to find a solution.
Yep.
Exactly what you wanted. You could use that too.
Yeah. If you're serious about that, contact me.
Yep. What are you talking about? Salty Bagger
Yeah.
or Nori?
Oh, what does Nori want? Give me the reservoirs for my RT so I can look like the cool kids. All right, I'll send you the Amazon link.
Well, I tell you what. What's better? You could whip around corners faster than the cool kids with those reservoirs because they don't know how to set them up. They just put them on and don't realize they're at different. They have 4 different settings on the rear end. 2 different settings on each shock because they didn't know how to set them or how to adjust them.
So that's a funny conversation because about 2 years ago, I started with Mike. Mike, I need a reservoir shock. I need a reservoir shock. And he's always say, you don't need a reservoir shock. I can build you a shock that'll work better than those reservoir shocks you're talking about, which he does. But at the same time, it's funny because now it's like, all right, I guess we're going to have to build a shock with a reservoir. And I saw his point of it because he's been in, like you guys found out, he's been in racing for so long, and he has the same thing. He's like, 99% of the people I would build that for would not know how to adjust it, would not know how to set it. He's like, I can build them something like this that they don't even have to touch that will outperform anything that they do with that shock.
Yep. That is 100% accurate. And if people don't realize it, that there's a science when it goes into adjusting your shocks. I mean, there's a nominal setting, which is always in the middle. And then from there, you can speed up or slow down your compression or rebound. And that which will make your shock either stiffer or softer is you might have to make the rebound faster and your compression slower. And what I mean by that is how fast does that shock rebound or how slow it compresses depending on your load, the load on the bike, how you're riding, what you're riding. And of course, if you're a track guy, on track conditions, is it wet? Is it dry? Is it hot? Is it cold? There's a lot that goes into that a lot of people don't understand or take into account.
And the other thing is, you said exactly right. They're really built for track because track conditions can change hour by hour.
Yep.
So you have to make a lot of adjustments on the fly within the day. Versus when you're riding, you don't make a lot of adjustments because the road really doesn't change that much when you're just out cruising around.
Yeah, it does. You add more potholes or less potholes, and is it a ground up pavement or is it not ground up? The road conditions do change a lot, but not always in a positive way, and definitely not a way you'll find on a track.
Right.
Track conditions with temperature, it could be 80 degrees outside, but the track temp could be 140. And that makes a big difference in tire pressures and shock settings and everything.
I have a comment on that.
She has a comment.
Well, we do 1,000-mile days. If I'm doing 1,000 miles in a day, I'm not going to stop and adjust my shocks. I'm going to get on the fucking bike and say, let's go, because it's going to take all fucking day. So shocks are not in the plan to adjust. I'm just saying.
Right. And you know what? If you know how to adjust your shocks, your compression, your rebound, and there's a science behind it and you do it a lot, technically you should be doing it every day. And as temperatures change or the road conditions change, you should be adjusting your shocks. And a lot of people aren't going to pull over and adjust their shocks. I'd be honest with you. I'll set it for the day and then deal with it throughout the ride because road conditions change, temperatures change. It got hotter, it got colder, it got rainy. The rain stopped. I'm just going to deal with it. I'm not going to pull off to the side of the road and do a pit stop to adjust shocks. And, that's just a waste of time. And you really don't need it on a street bike, in my personal opinion. But if you want it, if it looks cool or you think it looks cool, right on.
But they do look cool, yeah. Even though a lot of them are like, "Oh, you got nitrous?" Yeah, I got 2 small cans of nitrous. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But the RTs actually give you the capabilities of doing that, other than the remote reservoir. That's why that's why they were developed, because I was getting to a point with power and what I was doing that we had to do something. And this is not a thing against that Black Hills are horrible, because they handled they handled 140 horsepower just fine. But my spirited riding and getting into more horsepower, I would get myself in trouble with them.
Yep.
Because the valving and the capabilities, and plus they wasn't giving me the feedback that I wanted. And that's where the RTs came into play. That's why I like them, because I'll adjust on them. But at the same time, what you're talking about, I've been around enough to learn to know my adjustments while I'm doing it. I'm not just messing around with it.
I would agree. And I'm going to agree with Gliding. Says the RT series never need adjustment. They're literally fire and forget shocks. Put them on and just ride. And you know what? I would go out on a limb and say 85% of the people who buy the remote reservoir shocks sit there, put them on, and never touch an adjustment. Never, ever, ever. They'll touch them if they're lucky. They'll touch them and set them to the nominal setting, which is, if there's 7 different adjustments, there's 3 on the left, 3 on the right. You put it in the middle on all of them. Or if there's, because there's never an even number. There's always an odd number. Or if you had 9, or if you had 5, you would put it in a nominal setting.
Well, that's there's other brands out there. Just what you're talking about, 4 cartridges in the front. You had to set the springs before you put them in. All right.
You set the preload.
Yep. Set the
depending
preload
on the rider's weight.
Right. So we had a customer come in while I was working Myrtle Beach, complaining about his shocks. They were like riding on ice. I'm like, oh, I know this problem because I've been to this problem before. They were like riding on ice. It was not Suspension Technologies. It was another brand that somebody talks about. I took that thing out 3 or 4 times. It took 4 test rides for me to get those in, to the point that I had to tear the front forks off and pull them out. And come find out, there was a 1/2 inch difference between the preloads in the front end.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as I pulled them out, I'm like, there's a problem. And all the other guys are like, what are you talking about? I was like, measure that right there. And there was a 1/2 inch difference preload
between the left and right fork.
Yeah. They're like, how in the world can you see that? I was like, I've done this enough that I can just look and see what the problem is.
Yep.
And that's a testament to Peanut, because straight up, Peanut, on the hands-on part, Peanut's the one that's taught me. On the knowledge, technical side, Mike's the one that's taught me. So if you got complaints, send it to them.
Yep.
Don't send it to Jake. Send those complaints to them.
Yep. And DDK, just so you know where I have mine set at, the way they come out of the box. I took them out of the box and I put them on the bike. I says, you know what? I'm going to ride them and I'll adjust them if I see fit. And whether I was 1 up or 2 up or 2 up loaded down, I did not need to make one adjustment, period.
So I always recommend, if you're going to do adjustments, at least do 100 miles and then call me. That way I can talk to you about what, I can see exactly what it's doing. Because you never know. It might be a product problem. Be like, whoa, I know what this is supposed to do straight out of the box. This is not an adjustment problem. Because we do our best for customer satisfaction.
Yep.
But yeah, I at least recommend anybody, you ride 100 miles and then talk to me. Because sometimes it's just you're not used to what the product's doing.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, when I first put the fronts in, it felt more like a pogo stick going down the road. But after 100 miles, that went away.
Yeah.
So I think that was the gas chamber and the springs and everything settling and breaking in and getting all the final air out of the oil section of that shock.
Yep.
Which I do my best to bleed all that down. You've seen it in the video. I do everything I can to bleed it down, even when it's together. I still, compress the forks as much as I can to bleed them down when they're fully assembled.
Yeah, everybody asks why we do the whole rocking thing, shoving on them. They don't realize that's a whole last step. Trying to get that air, get that oil flowing through there.
Yep. That's why I sat there and okay, got it's filling up with oil. Okay, let's bleed it down. Stop it. Don't think that way. Practicing since puberty to do it,
Yeah. Or if you're Tweedle and Dallas, it takes two of you to do it. But
well, I'm not gifted.
But yeah, I don't know. I can't wait for you to get the Softail stuff. I can't wait for Jake to get the Softail stuff and join the family.
Oh, I can't wait to get the Softail stuff, and we'll put that to the test down in Daytona. We'll take a ride over to Mexico.
Hey,
I'll be there about 10 minutes later.
Pull Dean's thing up for a second, would you please? So you are correct, Dean. Now, I'm not saying you will not need adjustment, but we do our best when we talk to you about how you ride, and what you're doing. So when you get them put on, that's it. Set it and forget it. That's what we shoot for.
Yep. So, Dean, if you're on the fence, hopefully this here clarified a lot of questions that you had. Should you do it? Should you not do it? Which ones to get? Hopefully this has been educational, and also you've received some value out of tonight, because I try and make all of my videos that if somebody gets some sort of value out of them, because that's what I'm behind, is helping other bikers, do their stuff. And excuse me, I don't have a video for doing trikes yet. Hopefully soon I will for suspension, but I have a few different videos for suspensions, whether it was Legend or Suspension Technologies on baggers. Hopefully you take a look at it. Hopefully you'll get some value out of that. So if this is something you feel that you could handle on your own, I even show you a secret in my latest video on Suspension Technologies and how I put those forks back together with ease.
Now, when it comes to trikes, I know some little tips and tricks to make it easier doing trikes.
Yep.
Just because I've had to do it a lot, and I started doing it the hard way. And it's like, let me show you a trick.
Yeah. Hey, tips and tricks and trade secrets are always good to share.
Yeah. But yeah, actually, the trike shocks are probably their most popular shocks. You would be surprised how many trikes we would do at a show. I know there's been a few occasions where we've had all days of sitting there doing nothing but trikes. Because one guy gets it, they go riding. Next thing you know, that guy comes back and like, holy crap, I need that, and it just keeps going.
Yep. So I'm glad you found this video very helpful. Hopefully you go through my library of videos and you find something that you had questions on, because I do a lot of different videos. I did a live with Corey doing his stage 2 on his twin cam. I've done a lot of stage 2 videos. I've done handlebar videos, oil change videos, shock fluid change, just changing the shock fluid. I've done those videos. And of course, I always rebuild the shocks. I just don't change them. And there's a lot to rebuilding factory forks that a lot of people don't realize. As a matter of fact, with the Suspension Technologies install video, I even showed the difference of the top out spring between Suspension Technologies and Harley Davidson. They're the same diameter, they're the same length, but the wire is used is a little bit thicker. Dallas, have a good night.
Yeah. Now I need to get your video on my website because it's an awesome video. If
Thank
nobody,
you.
if you guys haven't watched it, I'm gonna come find you because it's an awesome video.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I try and do my best. Actually, the video coming up, let me bring it up here, see if I can find out when it's coming. I actually was able to make it kind of funny, but you're gonna have to wait to see it. It's on that headlight, and that will be out on the 15th.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that because what was it, 3 or 4 months ago that company contacted me about that headlight?
Yep.
And I was just like,
And,
I was
this
up in the air about
Sunday's,
it.
yep, this Sunday's video is how to install handlebars on a Road Glide 3. That's this Sunday's video.
And coming up, Hells is going to go up to Dr.Harley and we're going to show him how to install a turbo on a Road Glide 3.
Let's do it. You bring the turbo. We can put it on Spaceball.
Yeah, that's exactly what Spaceballs needs now.
Come on, because Crystal's going to win the bike and she needs a 230 horsepower bike.
I mean, while we're at it, let's just put some nitrous injection on that turbo.
We
And
could do it. We could do it. Jake, sell Hell some life insurances on Crystal.
I got to do that research myself. So
I think 10 million
pass
will
some
cover it.
information.
as she ended up with that bike with a turbo on it, and we were at a stoplight, and she was setting that bike, I would just put mine on the kickstand. I'll tell you right now. I just put it on.
You're right.
With her on that bike,
Hold on. Hello.
Just shut it off, put it on the kickstand, and watch the show.
oh, she's like, it'd take a little while to handle that thing. Shoot, 10 miles down the road, she'd be smacking on me.
Mm-hmm. She'll be slapping that ass and go, "Who's your daddy now?"
Yeah. Now that would be a funny video. She's setting it, we're going to race, and I just put it on the kickstand and she takes off.
I did that to somebody today. I was on my way to get my tattoo worked on my half sleeve, and sitting at a light, and this guy pulls up alongside me in his crotch rocket, and I'm looking up ahead, and I see a red and blue light just sitting there, and he starts ying, ying it, firing it all up, going up. So I start staging the bike. I put it in gear, grab a handful of front brakes, start letting the clutch out, revving it up. The back tire's starting to skip a little, and light turned green. I let off the gas, and he took off, and I was like, "Dumbass, I should look around you."
Yeah, she's notorious for doing that to me. I gotta give it to her. Even on what she had, dude, she could 60-foot me. No matter how hard I tried, she could 60-foot me. She's quick off the line.
Oakley up too. I can tell you, if you think 140 miles an hour on the highway is a ludicrous speed, splitting two other bikes, then yes.
Allegedly
In Mexico.
No, I'll say it right here in Connecticut.
It's not for everybody.
So it's a fast bike. It's legitimately 154 horse at 165 foot-pounds of torque on a lowrider ST, which is a light bike.
I think you'll just sell T-shirts for people to get her on that bike to beat me.
I don't know.
Hey,
Hey, if I win, are you going to teach me to grudge race?
Yep. I tell you what, Hells. If she gets that bike, if the shoe fits, put it on Cinderella.
Every time I'm just going to be cussing you, Doc.
That's okay, because I'll be building my Cholo.
Everybody like, you got me again. Yeah, blame it on Doc. Blame it on Doc.
Well, that just means you have to make yours faster. Wow, Hells is lost for words. If you
I'm
need
just-
help, I think Trask could help you with that. He is really lost for words. Jake, when's the last time you seen that?
I think it's because I've seen her on the Built 114 and what she did. Like I know like if you gave that to her, oh my gosh, she would be a freaking handful. Like
A Built 131.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Which-
She
All direct drive. You know, I'm with Corey on this. With Crystal on the bike, the only thing that's not going to last is the transmission.
Oh, I know. I'll probably be doing the old cryo dip back cut.
Hold on. My transmission was already starting to go, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it depends.
It depends.
Well, I mean, it wasn't bad. But if I kept going the way I was, it was going to need one.
Oh yeah, because it was to the point that you didn't know if it was braking or going in gear. That's why I thought at first. I thought she blew third gear out because you know they're notorious for doing that.
Yep.
Because the way her transmission was going, I thought she blew third gear out. Nah, she blew the comp in 3 pieces. So,
well, you don't have to worry about that because there is no compensator on Spaceballs.
you say that, and if she twists that crank, you're getting a freaking trophy to wall hang in your daggone garage. I want to
Would
say
that be the twisted crank?
It'd be the twisted crank. I'd be like,
and the bill to fix it.
no, I just sent him the trophy.
Wow, Jake. What happened to Jake? Where did he go? Did he lose connection? Wow, you're back. What happened?
Oh, I guess that's my cue to go to bed.
Oh yeah, you got any State Farm insurance for that?
I got to do my research on that.
I think Doc would be happy to get that trophy. Be like, yeah, I built this thing, and she twisted the crank on it.
Yep.
That just means she's riding the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Because I believe that's either welded or slugged from Screaming Eagle, that crank.
Yeah, because then I would be like, Tweedle will be like, I beat you. I don't care if you broke, but I still beat you.
Hey, Tweedle, I hope you're still listening. Because, yeah, you're 15-1, and you could say, at least I wasn't shut out.
Yeah. True. He wasn't shut out.
So he gets number one draft picks.
All right, gents. I think I'm going to call it a night.
Yep.
Thanks for having me on, Doc. I appreciate your video and bringing Mike on tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure to have Mike on. You kidding me? I was excited that he said he would do it.
Absolutely.
And, he's a great guy. I've met him a few times, talked to him a few times at the rallies. He's an awesome guy. I'm surprised he remembered who I was. And that speaks a lot to the man's character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't wait to get out and meet him. Hopefully next week or 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
Whatever, 2 weeks from now. I'm going to ride up there real quick and go ahead and say hey to him. Hopefully meet some of those guys.
You might want to go over to OF because I got word today that the Bagger Racing League will be in Daytona for Biketoberfest, and the only party for Bagger Racing League is going to be happening at OF.
Ooh. Add that to my stop.
Yep, that means the Wyman brothers might be there, huh?
Oh yeah.
All right, Wilkie, have a good night.
All right. Well, thanks again, Doc. I appreciate you having me on. And
anytime, bro.
Until next time.
Wait till March.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
Oh, we're gonna raise hell. Raise hell, make bail.
Raise hell, make bail.
Chris will have the bail money.
No, her should probably be the one that started it.
Yeah. And she's holding on to the bail money.
Yeah.
She'll bail herself out and say, "Later, boys."
Yeah.
Drew,
make
where's
sure.
the keys?
Yeah.
We're all in trouble now.
All right. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Yep. So you see Tweedle's comment? I'll be a handful next time we ride.
He wants to keep talking about. Let's put this in another perspective. He is and a bazillion against Crystal, so he's never beat Crystal.
Have you ever beat Crystal?
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, Drew can beat me.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So if he can't beat
Has
Crystal,
so much to give.
then how's he going to beat you, who you beat Crystal?
I
It's
don't
like
know.
the number 3 seed going against the number 1 seed in the final 4. But then again,
Miracle.
Cinderella does get the prince at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
What I am still working on is trying to get my shifting faster.
It's because I will not tell you or Tweedle how I do it.
See, since I beat her off the line one night, she got mad.
No, he wasn't off the damn line. He didn't come to a complete stop, and I was stopped.
That truth comes out.
And then
she shall set you free.
And then she still ran him down and beat him.
Yep.
But it's on the breakout, though.
Oh boy.
I think, yeah, that was on the breakout. Wasn't it?
Is he counting a takeoff a win? Because I count like whoever's at the end a win, not the takeoff a win.
Now, when do you consider the end? Is it the next light or when you pass him?
I consider it is whoever gets out of the throttle first loses. So I'll run you for miles.
Okay. So it's not a quarter mile or eighth mile. It could be 100 mile.
Exactly. Whoever's got the bigger kahunas.
There you go.
And let me tell you what, it gets a little sketchy in little Mexico, Daytona, Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah. See, Gliding said the only time Tweedle beat Crystal is when she broke the compensator.
What do you mean? He was still behind her
With a broken compensator.
with the compensator.
Because I wasn't moving.
Yeah.
Nori was quick on those brakes, baby.
But you know what? Those are the great memories you have with your friends.
Exactly. You know, and you can always break balls about it, and you can always have fun about it.
Gas station for 3 hours.
Well, yeah, sitting at a gas station for 3 hours.
Ooh,
But what? Whoa.
wrong button. Right button.
What? And this is the takeover. This is when Doc never gets monetized.
Or gets it taken away.
Yeah.
Oh, darn, I'll miss out on that 70 cents from, Sunday's video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big money.
Dude, you guys got me worried now that some miracle's going to happen. She's going to end up on Spaceballs. She's going to end up busting my balls on Spaceballs.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, don't cry like a little bitch.
Oh, I think Godsmack did a song about that, crying like a bitch.
Yeah.
Just talking trash. Ignore me. I just love him.
Okay, so Sam's got voodoo because when the snake bites enters his vein, which is a line in voodoo. Now, Crystal's got a song for Drew, crying like a bitch.
Yeah, Godsmack. Literally, one of the songs in the line of Godsmack is "Crying Like a Bitch."
Oh, well, I guess I'll have to Google that.
Oh God, now you're gonna be playing it all the time. Thanks, Doc.
No worries. No worries.
Oh.
We can
I
only
can't
hope.
tell you about CJ from Drowning Pool.
Yeah, you just want to keep bringing that one up too, Doc, don't you?
Go ahead. You can do it. You can do it. You want to do it? Do it. There it is. You'll get your moment. That was my one and only moment. So,
I don't care if I ever get my moment. I enjoy to see my friends have the moments.
yep. That was my one and only moment. And I was happy to have that moment because that's one of my favorite bands. I put them up there with Godsmack and Five Finger Death Punch, Saliva. You know, they are one of the best bands out there, in my opinion.
You want to know what my moment is? And I think about this all the time because I enjoy it. Is those late nights ripping around Daytona with your boys. No plans, no worries. You just out on the motorcycles, just ripping around, laughing, busting balls,
having a good time.
Having a good time.
I thought you were going to tell me your moment was that time when Tweedo beat you to the top of the hill.
That's Tweedle's moment.
Oh.
Like he's going to be 80 years old, and he's still going to talk about that.
Don't take that away from that man.
I can tell you the stock suspension does not like 140.
So that was the first one that was ever built. What it wasn't like 20 miles, and I already had it out of shape. I'm calling Mike like, oh, I got this out of shape. So let me tell you what, it wasn't just her testing; it was me, and I was pushing the crap out of that bike.
And you're solving a lot of problems that we had.
Yep.
So that's why the compensator broke. You fractured it.
No, I know how to shift.
And that may be why it happened. I don't know. That very well could be.
Hey, at least you're not granny shifting like Tweedle.
Yeah. See, okay, I got to see Godsmack last year at Ocean City Bike Week. Chevelle opened, and Godsmack played for 4 hours. That was a great show.
Dude, that had to be a great show. Chevelle and Godsmack.
Chevelle played for their 90 minutes that they were supposed to, and then it
Yeah.
had to reset the stage for Godsmack. At Godsmack's 90-minute mark, Sully goes, you know, we're supposed to play for 90 minutes. We're having such a great fucking time. We don't care if they pay us. We'll keep playing till they kick us out or turn the power off. They played every song except for their new album that night. They were playing shit that was old school Godsmack because they were running out of music. Sully did a 30-minute drum battle with his drummer because they were running out of shit to play. That was a great night. 4 hours of nothing but Godsmack.
Dude, I bet that place went wild, especially when they got back into the old stuff that got on.
Yeah. The drum battle was awesome because both kits were on platforms that rotated and they were tossing each other sticks. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is awesome.
You gave your camera the hand signals.
Yeah. It's a stupid fucking thing. I hate this thing at times.
That's why I gotta watch it with that gimbal, that DJI gimbal. It has all that stuff. I'll get to talking. The next thing you know, it's like waving around, zooming.
I can't help it. I'm part Italian. My grandmother was from Sicily, so we talk with our hands.
Or I'll do one motion that I don't realize I do, and that motion apparently starts and stops. So I'm in the middle of something, and it'll stop recording because I did a hand motion.
Or I go the old NCO route and do the knife hand.
Yep. Later, DDK.
Good night, Dan. Hopefully you have a good night. Take your Geritol, but not your Viagra if you're trying to sleep.
Say what you want. I beat you, that lowrider.
Granny shifting.
Okay, so hang on. So he did beat me on the lowrider S one night. Not by much, but he beat me on the lowrider S one night. As he jumped the light.
So he red lit.
He jumped the light, and I had her on the back of the lowrider S. And he still barely beat me.
Did he red light, or were you sleeping on the light?
Oh no, there's actually a short because I took Nori's what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
I made it the short. Nori says his lines, and then all of a sudden you see Tweedle jump the light, and then I take off.
Mm. He says, not that one here. He said he cut it perfect.
We'll go back to the tape.
We have to roll the video on that then.
Go back to the tape.
Street Outlaws, biker style.
That was actually a
weird.
fun night too, because I had her on the back, and I was purposely ride Willie.
There's something we could, pitch to Discovery Channel. Street Outlaws motorcycles.
I know where to go for that. Bunch of trash talking mofos everywhere.
Yep.
Actually, we're probably too dangerous for Discovery Channel.
I can see Noggin showing up going, I'm going to beat everybody here tonight on my Sports Arrest. Nobody's got a chance. I'm going to sweep the whole field.
And then he stages and all the parts fall off.
Out first round.
Out first round. Chase is the race, boys.
That's it. Did he jump? And did you sit? Or did he cut a perfect light? Did he cross? That'd be something I would watch. Street Outlaws motorcycles.
Honestly, it'd be more fun with a bunch of amateurs. Like I'm not taking away from a lot of those guys because they're really good at what they do.
Absolutely.
But it's more fun when it's amateurs that will make mistakes that will screw up because you never know actually who's going to do something.
Right. That's why I like watching the Mega Cash Days, because you get guys from all over the country. There was one racer from Connecticut. Yeah, he has a pro mod, but he's more of an amateur pro mod guy.
Right.
And he did okay. He made it halfway through the pack. Not a lot of corporate sponsorship, not a lot of money behind him, but he does his thing and he had fun and he did well.
I already got the rules. It has to be a daily rider, pump gas only.
Mm-hmm. Run what you brung, but it's got to be a daily rider, registered, insured, and has to run off of pump gas.
Yep.
Max of 93 octane. No E85.
Oh, now you're going to make a lot of Florida boys mad.
Yep. No E85.
Because you can roll up to the gas stations in Florida and get E85 at the pump. So
yeah, but the thing is, if your bike isn't tuned for it, you don't have the bigger injectors for it, you're just going to hurt your motor.
Yep. Oh, yeah. That was Tweedle's talking about the night that the old dudes on the high dollar performance baggers, they kept flopping them over and wrecking them. Yeah.
Yep.
Because that was that guy on that Fat Boy. We tried to get him to run with us all, and he never really take off.
I'll tell you what, those guys, that was some fun stuff.
Just because you can afford it doesn't mean you should own it.
Because you might not be able to afford to keep it.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys were going to get themselves killed.
Yeah. Yeah, they were.
That bad. I mean, really killed. Like, I was afraid they were going to run into the side of a car. Not even the back of a car, but they were just terrible.
So they should be on twos, you're saying?
Yeah, and especially a performance tube. Like, it's the ultimate. Like, it was bad.
Oh, dude, when I say performance bagger, straight up, like 14-inch shock, 2 over on the front. It looked like they had a GP front ends on the front of them. I mean, built to the hill.
Money.
Yeah.
And had no business probably even being on a Sportster.
See, 14 rear shocks and a 2 over front end, I couldn't ride it because I couldn't even tippy toe that.
Actually, I'd love to set mine up like that.
Yep. So.
Salty Badger says no trailers.
Yep. I agree. You have to ride it to the event and ride it home or to the hotel. Because if you're traveling cross country, like on a Lowrider S or a performance bagger, if you're going from, Connecticut to Oklahoma or California from Florida, you want to save the bike for the race, but wherever you're staying, you ride the bike there. No pit crews, no nothing. Run what you brung, no map changing, no map tuning. Just do what you got to do. Straight up OG.
Damn it, Doc. You're taking like everything away from me. Next you're going to say, no fucking with the suspension.
No, you can fuck with the suspension.
But I can't fuck with the map.
Nope. You could do that at your hotel before you head out.
Yeah, but the whole thing is it's supposed to be a surprise road. You're not going to know what the road conditions and all the... Because, like, if you're doing in Florida, I can tell you now, you can ride 5 miles and be in, like, 3 different temperatures and conditions.
But like I said, you could change your shocks. It levels the field.
Doc's like taking everything away.
Well, get over it.
God dang it. Do you hear that? She's like, well, get over it.
Well, you could put a turbo on it. Run a turbocharged bike with nitrous.
That is a lot of power.
Yeah, you're talking almost 300 horse.
Ooh. Yeah, to stick to a road, especially the ones I know that allegedly happens. Dude,
No, you're not going to find a tire sticking up the whole power.
No.
Even if you put glue down on the whole course, on the whole way, you're prepped to track.
Yeah. That's a monster right there. I don't know. I guess like I've been on some 200 plus horsepower bikes, and they're still a handful on a normal asphalt road.
Good night, Jammin. I've already had that whole race idea planned out for 2 years now. Well, Twitty had your chance to come in and talk to us about it, but you're scared.
He is
You're
scared.
ready to go nighty-night.
Tweedle, he's been trying to get YouTubers to come together to race, but the problem is he goes after the wrong YouTubers.
You mentioned to Noggin. Noggin will be there.
He might be there. He might be there. But is he going to be there?
His bike will be there.
Yeah, his bike was there for my race too, but he was not there.
Well, in all fairness, he had to get home to his kid.
I just like busting his balls about it. Like the bike made it to the race.
Yeah, sure looked good.
Yeah,
you could have, and you even offered to pay people to take it, and they wouldn't take it.
Yeah, Tweedle tried to sell it and then tried to give money, pay people to take it, and they still declined the offer.
Because they probably saw his missing parts. Smelled of gas.
That's what I told him. I was like, that bike was so scary, it was pissing on itself.
Yep. I sat there and says, I wonder why nobody threw a match at him and made him look like Ghost Rider. Not that I want to see Noggin get hurt. I love the dude. He's a good dude. But it's a good, funny joke.
I don't know. It's I mean, what we do is not for everybody. I don't.
Nope.
I guess I could come over as a dick sometimes because my trash talking goes a little too far. But when
That's
it came
who you are.
Well, but if it came down to it, I'm not going to let you do something that's going to get yourself hurt.
No.
If I don't feel confident that I'm not going to let you do it.
I got to order new tires for Spaceball. I want to put new tires on it too. Tires on there 3 years old. Back tire is just about shot.
It's all that power.
It's going to be expensive for me this year. I got to put tires on the bagger and I got to put tires on Spaceball.
That's worse than putting tires on a car.
I don't know. That might cost me as much as putting tires on my Mercedes, though.
True, yeah.
That I'm not looking forward to.
That yeah, where's Toyota? He's got this great idea. He needs to come tell everybody about his great ideas. See if anybody will bite on it.
Good night, honey. It's only 11 o'clock. She's going to bed.
Yeah, mine's the same way over there. It's 11 o'clock. You know, when the boss ladies say it.
Hey, I don't argue with her because she gets up earlier than I do. She's out of the house before I even think about getting out of bed.
I'm not going to say anything. I guess I'll go on Tweedle time and get up at noon.
He gets up early, right around noon.
Right around there. Just in time for lunch.
No, that's his breakfast. The crack of noon is breakfast time. 5, 6 o'clock is lunch. And right about now is dinner.
Where?
Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree. Oh, dude, he drags butt when he comes to rallies with us.
See, I didn't see that.
Up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, she goes there and kicks him out of bed. We gotta go.
See, I didn't see that in Daytona. But then again, every time I saw him, it was after 12 or at night.
Yeah, don't let them fool you. They'd come back and take naps and stuff during the day.
Well, you know, when you're retired, that's part of the retirement gig is an afternoon nap.
Well, he should just move to the villages then.
Well, he works in the villages.
Those are party girls.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Motorcycle parts aren't cheap, you know. $20 is $20.
Well, Chris, you were sending them village videos, weren't you?
No,
Oh.
I watched a documentary actually on it the other day.
Yeah, he is on retired life. Like, if he says he's going to cook you dinner, yeah, it is at 10 o'clock by the time he gets done with it.
Yep.
And then the potatoes are hot for like the next 7 days. You don't even have to put them in a microwave or anything to heat them up.
Yep. Nori goes, I like naps.
Yeah, Nori will straight up tell you, I like naps.
So do I. Problem is, if I take a nap, I can't sleep at night. So, and I'm old too. You figure at my age, I'd want a nap and then go to bed early.
I'm a night owl. You can ask Crystal. Like, no matter what. She's the opposite. She's the opposite. She likes going to bed early and getting up early.
Well, she's a mom. She's a nurse. She's got big responsibilities.
I don't have a choice but to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yep. See, you heard her. I have no choice when you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It is what it is. You know, she's got her responsibilities that she's got to take care of.
She's got to go rile up the old men in the hospital.
Change them bedpans, sponge baths. I get it.
Yep. All right, I think I'm going to call it.
Yep, I'm going to call it too. I'd like to thank Mike from Suspension Technologies for coming on tonight and sharing his wisdom with us. It was a great informational evening. A lot to soak in. I know I'm going to have to watch this at least one more time to soak in all the information and wisdom that Mike put out. Thank you to Hells and Jake for coming on and explaining a little bit more about Ride H2 Performance. Make sure you check them out. And it's www.rideh2performance for all your suspension technology needs.
RideH2.com.
Oh, rideh2.com.
H2.com.
I stand corrected. Thank you. I got it saved as a bookmark. So if you want suspension technologies for your motorcycle, that's where to go to buy it. It'd be Suspension Technologies, and it drop ships right from Suspension Technologies in Florida. Help a brother out. Help him keep some food on the table, because I know he likes steak over ramen noodles.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, to in the side chat tonight. Tweedo, Gliding on 2, Salty Bagger, Gremlin, my wife, Jammin, Mike Jerowitz, Oakley on 2. Trying to remember who else was in the side chat, but thank you very much for coming out and hanging out. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to end this as I always do. You guys live the best life you can. Ride often and ride hard.